Wolf.
We're just moments away, John, from the first big round of poll closings. Voting is about to end in 6 states with 60 electoral votes at stake. We're watching all of these states, especially the battleground state of Georgia, for early clues about where the race may be heading tonight. All right, we have our first projection of the night. CNN now projects President Donald Trump will win Indiana. Trump beats Biden in Indiana, wins its 11 electoral votes, the first projection of the night. It's too early to call in these states right now. Too early to call in Georgia, a key battleground state with 16 electoral votes. Too early to call there. In Virginia, too early to call there. 13 electoral votes at stake in Virginia. Also, too early to call right now in South Carolina. 9 electoral votes in South Carolina. Too early to call in Kentucky, 8 electoral votes there. Too early to call in Vermont, 3 electoral votes right there. All right, let's take a look at where the Electoral College map stands right now. Donald Trump has 11 right now. Biden has 0. Remember, you need 270 to win this race for the White House. Let's get a key race alert. Right now, we'll start off with Kentucky. Right now, 12% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has a lead of about 9,400 votes over Biden. Look at this, 50.9%, 47.5% for Biden in Kentucky. 8 electoral votes once again at stake in Kentucky. Let's go to John King over at the Magic Wall right now. We're looking at the suburbs in Kentucky. John, it's pretty significant what's going on, potentially. Let's not get too far ahead, though.
Right. We know that this is disproportionately early vote, but we also know that we learn lessons from states. And again, you've just projected Indiana. That's the first state, 11 electoral votes for Donald Trump. You got to get to 270. He has the first 11 we've projected tonight. Now we're looking at the Commonwealth of Kentucky, expected to be red. The Senate Majority Leader is up for re-election there as well. But again, we're looking for clues, right? When we come here, so Fayette County, this is Lexington and the suburbs around it. Joe Biden, disproportionately early votes so far. So let's come back in an hour and see if this holds up, to see if it stays this way. 73% right now. If you go back to Hillary Clinton, only 51%. So if Joe Biden can do this stuff right here, we'll see what's happened. So we're going to
John, hold on for a moment. Yeah. I want to go to Florida because we're beginning to get some numbers in Florida right now. So let's take a look in Florida.
Here we go. Our first votes in Florida. Again, at this part of the country down here just north of Naples, very critical to the president. It's 5%. Florida's a huge state. We're going to be at this for a long time, but it's nice to get the first votes out of Florida. Where are they coming from? You come over here, Pasco County along the coast. That's a pretty quick report. Again, Florida, we expect to be good, and we also expect it to give us a lot of clues about the electorate tonight and about the win, about who might win tonight. 130,000 to 101. This state is absolutely essential to the president. Joe Biden would like it because he knows it would block. Let's just go back and take a look. 59% 4 years ago. 56% right now, if you round up. That's close, but we're going to watch this. Is it significant? We don't know until we get more vote here.
79% of the vote, yeah.
That's 79%. We don't know. So one county's not going to do it, but if you're starting to see the president, couple points below, that will be significant. Mainly, look at the vote count, 130,000 to win it. Again, in a state like Florida, it was 142,000 then. We're not done yet. Let's watch this at the end of the night. But these are the markers to lay down. Is the president performing, overperforming, underperforming, about breaking even with 4 years ago? And how is Joe Biden doing compared to Hillary Clinton? So that's one place we'll watch. Let's come back to 2020 and see what else we have on the map here. Let's come down here. Lee County, this is 81% they're up to there, 57 to 42. If you do the rounding there, and again, we go back in time and we look, 59. So, again, a little bit down. Is that significant? We don't know yet. It's very early, but it's one of the things.
These are Republican counties, basically.
These are very Republican counties. The question for the president, the president has to win them. We know that. The question is he getting the extra votes there? Is he running up the margin there because he needs the math from places like this to offset we expect to get when we get here? Now, this will be key here. Let's come over here. Along the coast right here, you start the I-4 corridor and you go all the way across. In Brevard County, 54.3. Let's just go back and take a look. 57.8. So again, another county where right now the president is a little underperforming. It's early. We don't know if that holds, but that's what you're going to watch throughout the night, especially in a state that is always as close as Florida. If the president is underperforming where his vote, the question then becomes, can the Democrats overperform? Can Joe Biden overperform Hillary Clinton? Where's the trade-off in the math? That's what we'll see as we get more votes in Florida. Let's just pop out and see what we have. Again, go back in time. I'm just going to highlight this for us. Then we'll go back in time to 2016, and we see, you see the blue here. We don't have those votes yet. So if you come in here, this is red, as it was 4 years ago. Let's bring it out to see. Lake County, let me get this out of the way so it's not distracting. 55 to 44. That's where it is now. 59, 60. So again, there's 3 counties we've looked at where the president's numbers right now are down a bit. The percentages are down a bit. So you look at the percentage down, then you want to match up the math. 102,000 votes there to take that county 4 years ago, 87 and change, almost 88,000 votes now. We don't know if that's significant yet, but that's what you do when you're doing a little election CSI in a state like Florida. What we need is more votes, Wolf. We need more votes, and we start to see some Democratic votes down here. The Trump campaign has been optimistic. It will cut in Miami-Dade. You know it well. Look at the totals here. You go back 4 years ago. Hillary Clinton, you look at that in the largest county in the state, right? That's what the Democrats need, and it wasn't enough, right? Hillary Clinton still narrowly lost the state. The Trump campaign has been confident, especially inroads in the Latino community. It would do something here. We don't know yet, but we'll see.
Biden really has to do well in those 3 southern Florida counties in order to win this election. We're talking about Miami-Dade, Palm Beach County, and Broward County.
Miami, Broward, Palm Beach. You pull them out and you look at them. It's said often, but I'll say it again. The farther south you go in Florida, the further north you get. Essentially, retirees from the north, senior citizens, electorate. If you go back and look at it here, this is in defeat. Hillary Clinton lost Florida 4 years ago, but look how close it was. Look how close it was. 112, 113,000 votes if you round up in a giant state. 49 to 48 if you round that up. And again, if you go back, you see the blue. It doesn't change that much, but let's go back to when Barack Obama carried the state. And you see the difference in the margins here. You come down here, Obama gets 61. Clinton gets 64. She did her job in this part of the state. That was one of the lessons in 2016. The Clinton campaign thought they did a very good job in the early vote. The Clinton campaign thought they did a very good job down here. What surprised them, President Trump over here, and then just the volume in all the smaller red, especially the Southwest. There's more people down here. Up here, there's fewer people, but they came out to play in 2016. It's these small counties. I'm going to say it all night long. 83% in a county like that. 2,800 votes, you think that doesn't matter, but that's 2,300 vote difference right there. One county, you start matching that up as you walk across the board and you go from county to county. That is how you get math, right? Will those people come out this time for the president? That will be the test as we watch this state fill in tonight. But there we go. See Pinellas County right there? Again, it's early. If that's
75%.
If that stays blue, Joe Biden has a good chance to carry the state of Florida. Doesn't guarantee it.
4 years ago, it was red.
4 years ago, it was red. That's why I said I remember a call on Election Day. The Clinton campaign was so confident about Florida, and I remember getting a call, and somebody came out and said it was the Clinton campaign thought we got good early vote here. We feel good about this. And one of the ground organizations went out to some polling places and saw a line stretching down the street, saw the MAGA hats, and texted me, "We are bleeped." And that was right here. And again, President didn't win this county by much, but it was a statement, right? It's a statement here. So this right now in 2016, it was red. At the moment, it is blue. What is this? This is Tampa, St. Pete. It's a suburban area. It has retirees. It is growing. It's a place where Democrats understand. If you want to get this state back, if you can keep that blue, you're on your way. Doesn't get you there. It's not enough, but we'll watch it and see if that one stays blue, then you know Joe Biden is in play for Florida. And as we know, Wolf, from having done this a few times, we're going to be at this map for a few hours.
Yeah, but if Democrats are looking at that county over there, they're getting a bit encouraged right now with 75% of the vote in.
Right, and look, that's one of the great dramas of an election night, right? And it also can be one of the great frustrations on an election night. You see something like that early on, and you think, if you're a Democrat, you think that's it. We're going to be at this for a while. We're going to rock through it. It's great to get excited. People at home should get excited about their candidate, about their side. But we've got a ways to go. And again, the key here, does that stay? What's the actual turnout, right? We expect the turnout to be even higher. So we're going to have to match up the math as we go. And then the big test for me, number one, can the Democrats hold the suburbs here and build, take the 2018 suburbs that made Nancy Pelosi Speaker and do it again in these states here. And then how does the president do up here? Does he match his numbers? He might have to exceed his numbers up here if Joe Biden is doing well across here. You had a question?
It's interesting. I'm already more than 1.5 million votes have been counted in Florida right now. Just to show our viewers, Trump is at 53%, Biden's at 46.1%. He's ahead by 104,000 votes.
He is, and as you say, 1.5 million counted. But just to remind people, we have a ways to go, 4.6 million to 4.5 million. So we're early in the Florida count. But look, Florida is always I say fun. I don't have a horse in this race. If you're a partisan watching at home, you go back and forth on the up and down in all of this one. But look, this is one of the most fascinating states because of the diversity, because of the senior citizen vote, because of it's the most complicated Latino vote anywhere, because of the diversity just within the Latino community. The Democrats sent Obama down here twice, trying to get African Americans in Miami-Dade to turn out. You've got the suburban revolt against the president. Does it hold up in a state like Florida, which is now his adopted home state? And again, up here, does the Trump army come out in 2020 like it did in 2016 in these small counties? The complexity of Florida is what makes it so fascinating, and it's always so close. Jake was mentioning his conversation with Rick Scott the other day. I talked to him as well the other day. He's won 3 elections by a point. By a point. He has won 3 elections by a point in the state of Florida. That's the way Florida goes. Twice for governor and once for Senate by a point. So we're going to watch this fill in. It's one of the most fascinating. And again, it'll also, its neighbor, it's almost the reverse when you come to its neighbor, Georgia. This is the South, right? The northern Florida votes like the South. So this part of Georgia votes like the South. It's white, it's rural, it's reliably Republican in recent years. But then we get up here, Savannah, Augusta, Columbus, Atlanta, the suburbs. African-American votes in the inner cities, the suburbs around them. How far out? How far out can the Democrats stretch it in the suburbs? That'll be the key, not only across here, but to the north in Georgia as well, in an election that the Biden campaign tells us and the polls tell us could be a very different election, but the could be part disappears now. We count votes.
So the only thing that jumps out at you right now is Pinellas County over there.
Pinellas County, and again, I looked at those counties, and I'll do it again. Let me come down here. I don't want anyone to make too much of this early because we're trying to get votes. But one of the things in a close state like this, especially with an incumbent president on the ballot, is to match him up, right? 39,000 votes. 67% if you round up in 2020. You come here 68%. So it's roughly close, a little down. I wouldn't jump up and down about that one. It's down a little bit. We'll see. 28%, 22,000 votes, 29% if you roll up there. You know, Joe Biden's percentage is a little better. We're not done with the math yet, so we don't know. These are the little things in a very close election that you do in a campaign war room. You're matching up county to county, and you're looking through it to try to see. And especially, you know, in places where the polls are still open and they know the votes, then they're trying to surge voters in. So you look at Lee County here, again, 81% estimated vote. Some of these things can be a little off this year, too, because of the early voting and the mail-in voting, but 57% to 42%. Again, for me, it's the math, 185,000, 186,000 if you round it up, 191 last time. This is what we're just going to go through. If turnout is up everywhere in the state, the president probably needs to exceed his numbers from 4 years ago, especially in the smaller, more rural places, to match if the Democratic numbers are up as well. And now, since we've been waiting here, we get Hillsborough County here, and this is Tampa. So this is
a big county.
The double whammy here of Hillsborough and Pinellas. That's the signal about the suburbs right here, right? And so you look at this, it's the 4th largest county in the state of Florida. Democrats can run it up here. It gives you a cushion, right?
Before we go to Hillsborough and Tampa, take a look at the state right now, because the gap between Trump and Biden seems to be narrowing pretty significantly right now. Trump is at 50.9%. Biden's at 48.2%. Trump is ahead by almost 65,000 votes.
64,157. And again, welcome to the roller coaster that is Florida. That's why it's so fun. I just want to come in here and take a look. 55 to 44 if you round the president's total up there. And then you go back in time here again. 51. So if this holds, and it's a big if, Hillary Clinton at 51, Joe Biden at 55, if that's exactly what Joe Biden needs to do. Run a little stronger than Hillary Clinton. Take a look
at the state right now. Biden has just taken the lead with 22% of the estimated vote now in. They do it quickly in Florida. Very impressive. Broward County, that's Fort Lauderdale. It has now come in. Look at this in Broward County. Let's take a look at Broward County right now.
Sorry, I was trying to get you the full totals there. Welcome to Roller Coaster Florida again. 12,000 there, 75%. It's only 16% of the vote in. Again, this is the 2nd largest county in the state. So we're going to get a lot of votes out of here, and Democrats need them. Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, 1, 2, 3, as we go through them here.
We got a lot going on in Florida. We're standing by for another round of crucial closings. The battleground states of North Carolina and Ohio are up for grabs just minutes from now. Our special coverage of Election Night in America continues right after this. We're We're back in the CNN Election Center, standing by for the next wave of poll closings. Right now, let's check in on the fight for the critically important electoral votes. Right now, Trump has 11 electoral votes. Indiana, Biden so far has 0. You need 270 to be elected president of the United States. We have a key race alert right now. Take a look at this, see what's going on. In Florida right now, 35, more than a third of the vote is now, the estimated vote is now in. Biden has a lead of nearly 100,000 right now, 50.7% to Trump's 48.4%. 35% of the estimated vote, once again, is in. 29 electoral votes. Look at Georgia right now, very early. Only 2% of the estimated vote is in, but Biden is ahead by almost 32,000 votes, 61.8% to 37% in Georgia. 16 electoral votes at stake. In New Hampshire, less than 1%, very, very early right now, but Biden is ahead by about 2,300 votes, 72.2% to 27.8% for electoral votes in New Hampshire. In Vermont, also very, very early. Biden is ahead only by about 610 votes. Less than 1% of the estimated vote is in, 62.7% to 37.3%. 3 more states right now. Let's take a look at Virginia. 13 electoral votes, very, very early. Trump is ahead of Biden by about 3,000 votes, 69% to 30% for Biden. Very early in Virginia. Also very early in South Carolina. Trump is ahead there by almost 700 votes, 63.3% to 36.7%. And Trump is also ahead in Kentucky. But 15% of the estimated vote in Kentucky is now in. Trump is ahead by about 35,000 votes, 54.1% to 44.3% from Biden. Let's go over to John King over at the Magic Wall. Let's take a look at the big picture first, and then I want to focus in on Florida, Florida, Florida.
The big picture is the question of the night. Can Joe Biden flip states that were Donald Trump states in 2016? Can Joe Biden flip them? Well, that would be a flip. Again, it's early. That would be a flip. Again, it's early. The president right now leading in Virginia, but it's a very early count. If the president could pull off that, that would be a dramatic story. We expect Joe Biden to win Virginia. It's very early and light in the votes. But these would be 2 big ones right there. New Hampshire and Vermont, we expect to stay. Kentucky and Indiana. South Carolina is closer than we thought. But at the moment, very early. Everybody needs to be careful about this, but at the moment, this is what Joe Biden wants to do. He flips these states here. We know we might have to wait, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. If they're close, we might have to wait, especially on Pennsylvania. That could be a day or 3. However, if Joe Biden wins that, he'll rest comfortably waiting for that. So let's take a look at Florida as we go through it. Again, this one is always a roller coaster. So what you see now doesn't mean the lead won't change. When you were here last time, Wolf, it changed as we were speaking. But right now, Joe Biden at 50%, Donald Trump at 49 when you round up. 62,394 difference in a giant state where both candidates got more than 4.5 million votes last time. So we're going to be at this a while. But if you're the Biden campaign, you're looking at this map, number one, you're winning Hillsborough County, which is Tampa. You like that. You're winning Pinellas County, which is St. Pete. You like that. That's where you want to be. This is how you finish. You finish your race in Florida across the I-4 corridor. You get started, if you're a Democrat, by winning down here. And if you're Joe Biden, and we'll say this, as we're early in the count, this is somewhat concerning. But it could be the quirks of 2020. Donald Trump thinks he can do better down here with Cubans, with other Latino votes, especially Latino men. We'll see if that's the case. The Democrats were worried about African Americans in Miami-Dade County. We'll see if that's the case. 84% in right now, 54 to 45. If you go back in time, this was a much bigger win for Hillary Clinton, right? 64% if you round up to 34%. So this is something to watch. The Democrats, this is their basket where they need to run it up. So we'll see. And if you don't run it up here, you need to offset it somewhere else. That's one of the trade-offs in this campaign. We know Trump may perform better among African Americans, especially among Latino men. Joe Biden's performing better with white, blue-collar workers and with senior citizens. So we're going to go through the trade-offs throughout the night. But this right now, if you come back to 2020, Joe Biden would like that to be a little higher. We're at 84% right now. We believe most of this is Election Day voting, today voting here. So we're waiting for early vote as well. That might help Joe Biden. If Democrats disproportionately banked early in Miami-Dade, we'll see as we go through. You move up to Broward. This is more what Joe Biden wants it to look like. But again, you see that at 16% right there, 75%. You go back to the comparison, 66%. So he's overperforming at the moment Hillary Clinton by percentage.
Trump just took the lead in Florida. If you go statewide.
So you pull back out. And again, this is going to be a roller coaster by 28,000 votes, right? And so this is what we're going to do. And what's happening? This is again, trademark for this president. Look at the smaller counties, right? You see all that filling in red? Not a lot of people live here. If you look at it, it's 184 to 83 there. You come over here, 584 to 207, you think at home, well, that's only a few votes. When you have 10, 15, 20 counties, and you're doing that, 200 here, 20 there, 1,000 there, that's how Donald Trump gets his math in a lot of states with these smaller counties like this. Interesting,
look at this,
though.
John, 41% of the estimated vote in Florida is now in. Look at how close it is.
Florida's close. That is not breaking news. That part is not breaking news. But it's incredible because, just as you were here last time it flipped, you were here this time it flipped. We expect Florida to flip. So you're looking at key things. Number one, for the president, that Collier County is coming in for Trump. That's a good thing for the president. That's what he needs. The southwest part of the state tends to be more conservative, 77%, but look how low we are here. So we got a long way to go here. We're just a couple hundred votes, 300 votes and some change there. So see if that holds up for the president right here. But you pull up right here. But I just want to come up here. This would be a huge deal. This would be a huge deal. Duval County is Jacksonville, up here in the top part of the state. President tends to win once you get out of the urban areas. But this is, again, one of the fast-changing areas all across America. But in the Sun Belt states like Florida, you have the city and the suburbs around it, 75%. You see Joe Biden at 54%, the president at 45% if you round up. This was a Trump win, just barely. Just barely. But Donald Trump narrowly carried the suburbs 4 years ago. He's expected to lose the suburbs this time. By how much could determine who wins the presidency side. So if you watch Duval County right here, it's the 7th largest county in Florida. That edge for Joe Biden, we always think about down here is critical for the Democrats, up here critical for the Republicans.
Let's not forget, John, in the
up to 67,000.
The central time zone, they're not going to close until the top of the hour.
Right.
The eastern time zone in Florida, they've closed.
Right. And so, again, if you look across, just watch across here. They're still voting out by Pensacola and in the Panhandle. So let me just go back and show you, just to remind you, all these smaller counties, you're going to see a lot of red, right? That is the key for the president. Again, they're not very populist, but when you add up one, then another, then another, then another, you get the votes to offset some of this. It takes time, which is why Florida sometimes roller coasters through the night. But look at...
I see Palm Beach County is now in...
Look at this. That's 2016. You do see this, though. Palm Beach County is in right now. But look, this is 91 to 28. Yeah. We have a long way to go in Palm Beach. But this is the quirks of the map. When you're watching at home, you see this county red. If you're a Democrat, you panic, which is why we need to visit it.
Go back to Miami-Dade.
Remind you that we're very early in this count here. And so let me take the lines away so you're not distracted. But if that stays blue, that's a big deal for Democrats. If that stays blue, it's a big deal for Democrats. You come back down to Miami-Dade. Again, if you're in the Biden campaign, you want it to be better than that. Right? Doesn't mean it's game over, but it means if you're not getting it here, you better make it up somewhere else. And we'll watch the rest of this vote come in. Again, if there's a lot of early votes to come in, these numbers could change dramatically.
Because 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton did a lot better in Miami-Dade County.
She did 64%. And again, part of it's the percentage. That's one thing you look at. The other thing you look at, especially because we expect turnout to be up this year, sometimes that helps you, sometimes that helps you more. 624. See, in Miami-Dade 4 years ago, the president got 334,000 if you round that up by that one. So you come back here, remember 624 and 333, and you see the president right now already has a significant 120,000 more votes out of Miami-Dade than he did 4 years ago. Now, is that just because turnout is up everywhere, or is he making inroads with the Democratic constituency in Miami-Dade? That is what we'll learn as we go deeper into the night. But if there's Joe Biden right now, if you're worried about anything in Florida, you're worried about that you're winning Miami-Dade, but not by the margins that you wanted. Still, though, 74,000 votes with a long way to go. And again, this is blue at the moment. I mean, red at the moment. We don't expect it to stay that way, but we'll see as we count them. And again, the key part for me, here we go. Orange County has filled in 700 votes and change there. So it doesn't matter. This has to be blue at the end of the night. If that stays red, Joe Biden's not going to win Florida. But it's very early on as we go through. And again, as you get real votes, 83% here. This could be critical here. Osceola County here. If you come through, 61%. Again, you're looking for math, especially if you're Joe Biden and you're not getting what you wanted out of Miami-Dade. You need to make up for it somewhere else. So you're looking here, 50,000, 85,000 4 years ago. You come back in now. Joe Biden right now about the same, a little below where Hillary Clinton was. We're still waiting for some votes there. This is what we're going to have to do. Florida gets so competitive. You go through county by county. You match up the math to 4 years ago. You see how much turnout is up this year compared to then, and you average it all out.
50% of the vote in Florida is now in. Trump is ahead by about 74,000 votes, 50.2% to 48.9%. Now he's up by 91,500 votes, 51%. Florida is very fast. The numbers are coming in quickly. Let's look at Georgia right now.
So you move up and you see Georgia. It's not often you see Georgia blue. And again, you see a lot of red, and yet Georgia is blue because right now Joe Biden is winning. And this one here, this is Fulton County where Atlanta is. We don't have any votes yet. But then you move here to Cobb County to the north. And again, this could be the story of the night. I emphasize could be because we're early. But you look at right here, it's only 27% of the vote in, 63 to 35 in Cobb County. This is the suburbs to the northwest of Atlanta. Right? Used to be Republican country. Hillary Clinton won it last time, but just barely, right? 49 to 47. So this is what we're going to watch throughout the night. Especially, suburbs are growing. Suburbs are where the people are. Suburbs is where you get your math. Especially if you're a Democrat, you know Donald Trump's going to run it up in all these smaller rural counties. As you see, this is 2016. You come up to 2020, you're starting to see the same repeat of that, right? You see the president, that's not a huge margin there. We'll see how it goes. But in these smaller rural counties, the president tends to run it up. You move up here, let's just see 83% in a county like that. And again, it's 3,000 plus, 4,000 plus votes when you're done, said and done. That's what Trump does to offset the urban areas and the close-in suburbs. So one of the tests tonight, let's drop down a little bit more to Henry County, 59% there, come back in time. 50%, 51% if you round up. So those are the things you're looking for, especially in these places where Joe Biden's performance in the suburbs is absolutely critical. He needs African-American turnout to be up in Atlanta, in Augusta, in Columbus, in Savannah, and he needs, when you get into the suburbs, and the Democrats do very well in the close-in suburbs, more and more increasingly in the Trump age, they've been moving out into the outer rings of the suburbs, out to the exurban areas. So you watch this play out here. You look 16,000 votes ahead there in the state of Georgia. Just take a peek in South Carolina. The president winning quite handily here so far, but that's very preliminary in the vote. One of the things we'll watch throughout the night, are the president's margins about the same or do they shrink even in the places he wins? Just want to peek one more time at Florida as we go here. Florida 2020. Welcome back to the roller coaster. Joe Biden has pulled ahead by 7,784 votes in the state of Florida. But again, 49.6, 49.5. We're early in the night. Florida is as close as it gets, which is pretty remarkable. Let's just take a closer look at what we're seeing here. Palm Beach turned blue. We thought it would, and a big vote dump to get it blue. That's why the state changed, right? We had just a few hundred votes in Palm Beach a few moments ago, and the president was leading. Right now, Wolf, the Florida vote coming in as Joe Biden would like it, as we wish, but we will keep counting.
We certainly will. Florida's emerging as a major fight that's going on right now. We're coming up on another critical round of poll closings in the Biden-Trump presidential race just moments from now. That's when most polls will close in North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia. Together, those states account for 38 of the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House. All right, we got a key race alert right now. Too early to call in these states, including in Ohio. Too early to call in Ohio. 18 electoral votes in Ohio. Too early to call. Too early to call in North Carolina as well. 15 electoral votes in North Carolina. Too early to call. West Virginia, 5 electoral votes. Too early to call in West Virginia right now. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map where it stands right now. It still remains the same. 11 Electoral College votes for Trump, Indiana. 0 so far for Biden. 270 needed to win the presidency. Let's get a key race alert right now. All right, in Florida right now, let's start. 29 electoral votes. Donald Trump has a narrow lead right now with 59% of the estimated vote is in. Look at how close it is. Got a lead of about 25,000 votes, 49.7% to 49.4%. This is a must-win for Trump. He must win Florida. If Biden were to win Florida, it would be very difficult for Trump to get reelected. We're watching Florida so closely. In Virginia right now, very early. Only 2% of the estimated vote is in. Trump is ahead by about 33,000 votes, 65.4% to 32.9%. In South Carolina, also very early. Trump is ahead 70.4% to 29.6%. In Kentucky, 18% of the vote is in. Trump is ahead by 75,000 votes, 58% to 40.5%. 3 more states right now. Let's take a look. Georgia, it looks like it's going to be a battle over there. Biden is ahead with 4% of the estimated vote is in, about 16,000 vote lead for Biden over Trump. In New Hampshire, Biden is ahead there. Only 2% of the estimated vote is in. He's up by about 3,300 votes, 59.2% to 40.3%. And Biden is ahead in Vermont, but less than 1% of the vote is in. Only 610 vote lead, 62.7% to 37.3% in Vermont. Let's go back to John King. Florida and Georgia, 2 very critically important states, lots of electoral votes at stake. Let's look at Florida first.
Let's look at Florida first. It is red at the moment. It has gone back and forth several times in just the last 15 or 20 minutes, and that's what Florida does. The President of the United States right now, President Trump, it's his new adopted home state. 50% to 49.1%, a 1-point race in Florida is what makes it Florida, actually. Election night, 56,000, 57,000 votes. if you round it up. If you're looking at the map, it looks like a traditional map. 1+ for the Democrats, Pinellas County here. One warning sign for Joe Biden as we watch this play out, and we got a ways to go. Remember, 3.4 million votes, 3.4 million votes. 4.6 is what it took to win it 4 years ago. We think turnout is higher this year, so we're going to watch as this goes. But here, if you're looking for trouble signs in the Biden campaign, it is right here. In Miami-Dade, again, we have more votes. This is early in-person voting, predominantly, I'm told. People who showed up to vote in person early before Election Day. Joe Biden with a very narrow lead. You could say that's a 9-point lead, but narrow by comparison to where we are 4 years ago. That's nearly 30 points there. It's 28
Biden
points.
just took the lead in Florida once again. It's moving very quickly
so let's move
back and forth.
Let's come back and see where it came from. Now, by 134,000 votes. They are reporting very quickly in Florida. Congratulations to Florida. We hope it plays out.
65% of the vote is in, two-thirds.
Play it around the rest. So let's see what happened here. We got a big jump in Palm Beach County, 60% to 39%. Remember, a short time ago, the president was ahead there, but it was only a few hundred votes. So again, you're looking at 60% there, especially if Joe Biden is underperforming in Miami-Dade, and we'll go back and check on it in a second. If he's underperforming there, you got to make it up somewhere else if you're going to win the state. And Hillary Clinton lost, right? So you look at Palm Beach County here, 60 to 40, 60 to 39. You come back here, it's a little bit better. She's at 57 bet. So if you're Joe Biden and you're underperforming one place, you got to make it up somewhere else. We'll watch and see if that holds up. Let's just move south as we go. Broward County, 66. To me, what's more important is the 562 because we know turnout is up this year. We come back here, 66. So about the same there. The vote total is actually incredibly close to the same. If we come back to 4 years ago, he's a little bit above it there, but we got a little ways to go still. So turnout's up a little bit, which you adjust your math, and then you come down here. Again, in the Biden campaign, you think in a normal race, you're winning anyway. You say, oh, 54-45, I'm doing great. No, the Democrats need to run it up more here. And you see Hillary Clinton with 64% when you round up last time, and she lost the state. Remember that. She lost the state, ran it up here, 624,000. You come back to 2020, Joe Biden running under that vote total here. Again, that happens. Elections change. Constituencies change. Donald Trump doing better perhaps with African Americans, with Latinos. It's a very complicated, diverse Latino community in Miami-Dade. So Joe Biden has to make it up somewhere else. You can make it up with senior citizens. You can make it up here in the growing suburbs across the I-4 corridor. And let's see the case. At the moment, Orange County, again, 700 votes and change. So this one doesn't count yet. No offense to the people who voted for the president there, but that doesn't count yet. We're not high enough up in the vote count to understand that. So we are up high here, though. Hillsborough County, which is Tampa and the growing suburbs around it. Pinellas County is St. Pete and the suburbs here as you move over. This went red 4 years ago as President Trump carried Florida. It is staying blue at the moment. Narrow, though. Look at that, 50.3 to 48.4. But again, in a state that often goes a point or two, sometimes within a point, right, little margins matter. Donald Trump carried it just barely by a point 4 years ago. At the moment, Joe Biden carrying it just barely by a point. That's how you win a state as close as Florida in on the margins like that. And if you come over here, 55-43, so 12 points almost.
You know, if we go statewide,
12 points on here. Hold on, I just want to check this one. That's 7 right there. You want to go statewide now. We'll see if it changes again as we pull it out.
Show us where each candidate is overperforming and underperforming.
All right, so we can go back and look at this. We can match this up to 4 years ago. Where is Trump underperforming, right? So where is the president underperforming? He's underperforming so far in these two counties. Now, they're blue. That means the Democrats are winning in those counties, but the president's vote in these counties is below where it was. You see the Trump vote here by more than 5 points from where he was 4 years ago. And again, it's one county. It's not a lot of people, but in a state that is so close that could come down to several thousand votes. 2000, it was 537 votes. It's one of the things you look at. So you pull that out here. And so right now, this is, if you look at this, actually, we expect the president to underperform in the suburbs. At the moment, we're not seeing it in dramatic ways. We'll watch this as more votes come in. And so where is Biden underperforming? Where is Biden underperforming Clinton? And you see it right there. That's what we were just talking about. If you come back in here, this will slide over in a minute. Underperforming. This doesn't count yet because the vote is very preliminary. Let me just check on this one. Also very preliminary there. So this we're waiting on. Don't focus on that.
Where's Biden overperforming?
But look at this here. You see this. This is right now a warning sign in the Biden campaign headquarters for that. And so then you want to look at where are they overperforming. So let's do Biden first. Let's turn this one off and bring this one up. And he's overperforming again. These are Republican counties. The red counties are voting Republican at the moment, but you see Joe Biden at 41% here. You go back to Hillary Clinton, he's only at 36%. There are some places, and again, this can matter if you get down to a race settled by a couple thousand, 5,000, 10,000 votes. It's a performance like this that matters when you go through and match it up. There's not a lot of it, given how big Florida is. He's outperforming Clinton here. Leon County is Tallahassee. But again, this is very preliminary. So let's not go to the bank on this. There's not many votes in there just yet. But it's one of the things you look at as we study it throughout.
Where's Trump overperforming?
Let's take a peek at that as well. We're in the neighborhood. Let's do it. Where's the president outperforming himself? Again, right now in Miami-Dade matters. These other places, the votes are very preliminary. Let's see if we have many votes in here. 37% here. That helps. It helps in these smaller places. Not a ton of votes, but it helps. Same thing, about 40% of the vote here. But again, this is where it matters, right here. If you're looking at Florida right now, it's a roller coaster. We're going to go through this several times. Lead switches are not at all uncommon. But this is the #1 county, #1 basket of votes in the county. In the state, I mean, 13% of the statewide vote. Right now, it's blue for Joe Biden, but those numbers, if you're in the Trump campaign headquarters, that puts you in play, but you got a lot more business to do. It's a
Do we know
complicated state.
Miami-Dade if those numbers are today voting or early voting?
I was told a few moments ago that most of this so far is in-person early voting. So we're still waiting for them to count mail-in votes. We're still waiting for more of today's election day turnout. This is in-person early voting. So far, we'll keep counting.
Here's a look at the key races as we count down to polls closing at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's get a key race alert right now. Let's start with Florida right now. 67% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead by almost 70,000 votes, 50% to 49.1%. It's close in Florida. 29 electoral votes. 5% of the estimated vote in Georgia is in. Biden is ahead there by 4,200 votes, 50.4% to 48.6%. Only 3% of the estimated vote in New Hampshire is in. Biden is ahead there by some 3,000 votes, 56.6% to 42.7%. In Virginia, 8% of the vote is in. Trump is ahead, 50.2% to 48.1%. He's up by almost 8,000 votes in Virginia. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. Lots of excitement going on. So far, we're seeing some blue in Florida and Georgia. And the question is that going to hold?
That is the question. Is it going to hold? You see red in Virginia. We don't expect that to hold, but we'll count the votes early in all these places. We also see this. Donald Trump had an early lead in the popular vote. He still does, but Joe Biden is starting to close in on that as well. One of the questions tonight, that's not how we pick a president, but Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. And if Joe Biden can stretch that lead out, it should help him in the Electoral College. But we'll watch those numbers as well. But we go state by state. That's how we pick presidents. And Florida has 29 Electoral College votes. So it is one of the biggest prizes on the map, and it is always a battleground state. And again, Biden on top right now, 50.6 to 48.4. In Florida, they call that a blowout. It's about 1.5 points. But that's what it's. So we got a long way to go still. And again, 3 big parts of the state. Democrats need their votes here. This is where close elections are settled. And we're waiting to see what happens up here. And again, you see some trouble signs for both candidates. And so we're still going to watch the votes. We have 72% of the estimated vote. We'll watch as it plays out. Why do I say trouble signs for both candidates? Let me start up here in the northern part of the state. Duval County, very close. Joe Biden on top, 52 to 47. If you round it, 5 points there. It's about just shy of 40,000 votes there. But again, if you go back in time, President Trump carried this. Not by a lot, but in a state that is so close, the small margins in the big counties. This is the 7th largest of the 67 counties. So you're looking for the bigger counties where the votes are to see what the margins are. Let's just check over here, Leon County in Tallahassee. That's 2016. You come up here, Joe Biden, but very early in a place we expect him to win, the state capitol, government workers, unions. We expect him to win. So let's come down here again. This has been holding steady for a while. And again, this would be the biggest danger sign for the Biden campaign in their war room right now, and the most encouraging sign for the Trump campaign in its war room right now. Miami-Dade is the largest county in the state by population. You get about 13.5% of the vote, depending on how the turnout goes right there. And you see, 54-45. In most states, you'd think that's a good win, but not in the state of Florida because it's so complicated and big. The Democrats need a bigger margin here. Again, the Clinton comparison, 64%, 624,000 votes. She lost the state, remember. She ran it up in Miami-Dade. The Clinton campaign was happy with this. They thought they did a pretty good job there, but she lost the state. You see the 624,000 for Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden running below that total right now. We have more votes to come in, and we'll see, and we know turnout was up. Most of this, not all of it, most of this is people who voted in person early. So we're waiting for the election day vote. Republicans think that's where they do best, but it's the Democratic area. Let's see. That's why the Democrats sent Barack Obama down here twice to try to turn people out to vote in the end. The former president trying to get African Americans and others to turn out. And so now you pull it out and you see the state is starting to fill in. And again, Florida doing a good job counting quickly. Let's just walk up the coast first. Broward County. This is what Biden needs to do here. Again, you want to run it up here. The president's going to win the smaller rural counties, so the Democrats need to run it up. This is the second largest county, just shy of 10% of the vote here. And then Palm Beach County. This is what the Democrats need to do and what Joe Biden is doing right now. Just for comparison, 60.2, 57% when you round up, so a little bit better here. Not as many people here, so it's hard to make up what you're missing in Miami-Dade, but you take everything you can get as you try to go through it. And then this is the key part of the state, the western part, the southwestern part of the state, Naples and surrounding, critical for the president. These votes are starting to come in. 61, focus on the 61 or round it up to 62, and then remember the 120,000. You go back 4 years ago, 105,000 and 62. So the president's got about the same percentage, and more people are voting. More people are voting in this election. Turnout there. Hillary Clinton gets 61,000 votes there. Joe Biden getting more votes, more votes because of the increased turnout this year, which is a good thing in every state. The more people who play, the better for our democracy. But so then you want to come up here, and again, Orlando. Earlier I said it didn't matter. This was red. It was early. We only had a couple hundred votes. Big chunk of votes has come in here. Joe Biden at 64, the president at 35. 341,000 votes. Let's go back and take a look. Again, so Joe Biden has already passed Hillary Clinton's vote total, 60% there, 64% there. That's how you win a close race in Florida. Doesn't mean it's enough, especially if you have to offset Miami-Dade. But the Orange County here, you think of it as Orlando. This is more and more by the day suburban, more and more Latino, more and more college educated, more and more complicated. And this has been very hard hit by the economy.
Look at this, 75% of the vote in Florida is now in, and Biden has a lead of 142,000 votes. Step back for a moment, John. Explain to our viewers why we're spending so much time looking at Florida. Yes, it has 29 electoral votes, but it's a must-win for the president.
It's an absolutely must-win for the president. Joe Biden would like it. If Joe Biden gets it, it helps him remake the map. It helps him make a statement election. But let's just walk over here and we come back. This is the only state we've called so far, projected so far, is Indiana. So the president has 11 electoral votes. You have to get to 270. And remember, the president got to 306 last time, right? So why does Florida matter so much? Well, if Joe Biden can take away Florida, that right there, in and of itself, gets the president down to 277, right? So then from there, Joe Biden really needs just one more. So if Joe Biden won Florida, let's say he won Arizona, right? Joe Biden could win the presidency without winning Pennsylvania, without winning Michigan, without winning Wisconsin, without winning Georgia. All places where in these three, he leads. Here, he's certainly competitive. Some polls show him ahead, some polls show him a little behind. So that is why 29 matters. I mean, the only thing on the board tonight with more significance is potentially Texas. Democrats think they may have a chance in Texas. But if you take these 29 away from the president of the United States, mathematically, can I find a path to Trump victory? If you want to say that Trump's going to win California, or if you say Trump's going to win all three of these, so it doesn't absolute, but that's essential. You know, we're trying to be conservative. We're trying to be cautious, trying to be fair to the president. If the president of the United States loses Florida, his path to re-election is essentially gone. And
right now, it's very close in Florida. 79% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead by about 83,500 votes right now, 50% to 49.1%. More make or break states are on the line at the top of the hour when the last polls close in the battlegrounds of Florida, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania. Will we be able to make any projections in the hour ahead? We're going to find out very soon. Stay with us. All right, we have our second projection of the night. CNN projects that Joe Biden will win the state of Vermont. He beats Trump in Vermont, 3 electoral votes. So let's take a look at the map where it stands right now in the race to 270. Trump has 11. He won Indiana. Biden has 3. He won Vermont. 270 once again needed to win the presidency. We're only moments away from the biggest wave of poll closings in the presidential race. We're counting down to the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's when the last polling places close in Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, the District of Columbia, Florida, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Tennessee. Together, those contests have 172 electoral votes. That's a huge chunk of the 270 needed to win. Florida, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania are the key battlegrounds we're watching in the coming hour. Joe Biden posing a strong challenge to the president of Florida and Pennsylvania, states seen as crucial for Mr. Trump's re-election chances. Let's get a key race alert right now. And let's start off in Florida right now. Florida, look at this. It's very close in Florida. Joe Biden has 49.6%. Trump has 49.5%. Biden is ahead by 9,200 votes. 9,200 votes in Florida, 29 electoral votes. In Ohio, 18% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a lead, an impressive lead of 347,000 right now, 64.4% to 34.5%. In Ohio, 18 electoral votes. In New Hampshire, only 3% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead by about 3,000 votes, 54.8% to 44.4%. Two more states. Let's take a look right now. We've got Georgia. Right now, 7% of the estimated vote is in. Trump is ahead by 9,000 votes or so, 50.8% to 48.2%. In Virginia, 13% of the estimated vote is in, and Trump is ahead by about 80,000 votes, 55.6% to 42.6%. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. We're watching these states very closely, including Ohio right now, which clearly is a major battleground.
Right, it's fairly interesting to watch. Florida's still Biden. We'll get there in a minute, very close. The president's lead and the popular vote is shrinking. We'll see how that plays out. But let's start with battleground Ohio. This is a state. Joe Biden went there Monday morning, right? He went there and people said, whoa, do you really want to be doing that? Do you have a chance in Ohio? Well, let's see. The middle part of the state where you see all these counties and you see nothing, and most of that is going to come in red. You just know that, right? So the Democrats need to run it up in the urban areas. That would be Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Akron, Toledo, Youngstown. But if you come here, this is interesting to see from this regard. If you get in 2020 here, Joe Biden right now, Mahoning County, Youngstown, blue collar, blue collar. This is where the president goes and says, you know, I'm on your side. I am your voice, trade deals. Joe Biden getting 62%. We're about halfway in the count, so we'll see if it stays this way. But 62%, you go back in time, Hillary Clinton just barely won this. So this is one of the tests, right? Can Joe Biden, one of the things he says he can do is that, unlike Hillary Clinton, he can win Trump voters. He can win blue-collar, traditional Democrats who left the party to go for Donald Trump. We'll see if that holds up here as you come to 2020. That's a big deal. Even if Joe Biden loses in Ohio, that's a big deal when we move over to Pennsylvania. It's a big deal in Wisconsin. It's a big deal in Michigan. Ohio, a more Republican state than any of those three that I just mentioned. So you're looking up here. Challenge number one for the Democrats. You want to win a state as competitive as Ohio that leans a little bit Republican. You got to run it up. Cuyahoga County, Cleveland. Only about 40% of the vote in, a ways to go. 75 to 24. Let's go back and take a look. 66% for Hillary Clinton. This is a good sign. You have to see if it holds. If you're in the Biden war room, you're looking at that, and that's a good sign. An even better sign, or at least an even better add-on for Joe Biden, this is your base. This has to be your foundation. Largest county in the state. It's about 11% of the vote when you're all done. But you move out here to the suburbs. This is the battle for the American presidency. Close races are decided in the suburbs. Lake County, Joe Biden ahead. 51 to 48, it's close, but if you go back in time, this was Trump country 4 years ago. Donald Trump narrowly carried the suburbs in 2016. That's why he's president of the United States. That's why he's president of the United States. It's part of the coalition Trump put together in 2016 as he won Ohio rather comfortably. If Joe Biden can hold Lake County, hold the suburbs to the west of Cleveland, that's part of the building blocks. At least get you close. Now, as you see, as we go through this, some more of the middle of the state is filling in. These are smaller counties. There's not a lot of people here, but let's pop them out. This is where the president runs it up, right? He doubles your vote, essentially. And so the challenge for Biden, if that fills in, and we'll watch turnout, we'll see if the Trump voters come out in those places, is he has to, in all of the urban centers, Franklin County, that's a good number. It's not just Columbus. Huge suburbs around it. Columbus has been Democratic a long time. The suburbs used to be more Republican, so you get a more competitive county. You see that, right? That's about half of the vote, 76%. You come back in time. 61% for Hillary Clinton. That's how, those are the building blocks for Joe Biden. Win in the cities. A lot of that's the Democratic base. In Columbus, it's the capital of the state. It's unions. It's African Americans. It's turnout. But then when you get out here, away from it, you have to win the suburbs. And that has been the challenge. President Trump has lost the suburbs. Let's come down here to Hamilton County. Used to be a Republican county. It's becoming more of a Clinton county, more of a Democratic county. We have no votes there yet. You saw how Hillary Clinton carried it. It's also a House district in the Cincinnati suburbs as well. One of the House districts, Democrats are trying to expand their majority. So it's
John,
Ohio.
I want to go back to Florida because it's essentially tied right now. Let's take a look at Florida right now. 81% of the estimated vote is in. There's only a 2,000 vote separation. Biden is ahead by 2,033 votes. That's incredible.
I was just going to say, some people at home who have a partisan stake in this will be throwing things at the television. But this is why this is fun. I mean, look at this. This is
now,
more.
Trump has just gone ahead by 18,000 votes.
Now, Trump has gone ahead by 18,000 votes. This is 4.6, 4.7. We're closing in on 10 million votes. We're above 9 million votes in the state of Florida, and we have a 49.6 to a 49.4. This is why elections are fun, and this is why Florida is, of all the states in the United States, one of the, if not the, ultimate battleground state. And so again, let's go through it and take a look. We started earlier in Miami-Dade. This, to me, so far, the biggest warning sign. And again, every election is different. So you're not performing, if you're Joe Biden, you're not performing as well here as Hillary Clinton did, as well as Barack Obama did when he carried the state. That's not necessarily fatal. It's not good. Then you got to make it up somewhere else. If you're not getting it here, you got to get it somewhere else. 54 to 46, if you round them up. Again, you go back in time. This is the largest county in the state. There are more people here voting than anywhere in the state. Hillary Clinton thought she did the job here 4 years ago. 64%, 624,000 votes. Joe Biden right now, 560,000 votes, only 54%. So that's a problem. It's a warning sign in the Biden campaign. Not insurmountable. Could you come up here? Can you make it up? This is number 2. Broward County. Miami-Dade's number 1.
The second largest
this is
county.
This is the second largest county. You're at 66 with 562,000 votes. You go back and look at it. So you're running ahead of Hillary Clinton if you're Joe Biden in the count. In the count, turnout is up this time. Turnout is up this time. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's enough, but you're running ahead there, and then you come up here to Palm Beach County.
The third largest.
Get it to come up. 1, 2, and 3 are right there. 1, 2, and 3 are right there, 58 to 41. If you look at it there, 391,000 votes. Joe Biden, again, exceeding her total, and right now at the moment exceeding her percentage. So that's a good thing there. So those 1, 2, and 3 are right here along the coast. And then you come up from here. Here's where you find number 4. That's Hillsborough. That's Tampa. It's Tampa and the suburbs around it. Again, I just said this in Ohio, and I'll say it again here. The suburbs decide close presidential elections. President Trump narrowly won them 4 years ago. He's been losing them since. Nancy Pelosi is Speaker because of the suburban revolt against Donald Trump. The question is, does it continue from 2018 into 2020 in places like this? 53%. You see that's about, you see 352, so you 52,000 votes, right? In a place like Florida, if you're not doing as well as you want in Miami-Dade, you got to run it up somewhere else. There are some votes there for you. Much closer, 45, 42. And then you come over here. This 4 years ago, it's a big victory for Donald Trump to turn this county. Democrats got swamped in Election Day turnout. At the moment, they're holding this 91% in. Again, not by much, 49.6 to 49.0. The question, that's a little bit of math. 3,000 votes. You take everything you can in a state like this, you get the votes. And so then you come up here, and now we're waiting, right? The Panhandle, this is the later time zone. We're waiting for votes out there. If you come through here, just want to show you, the president runs it up in these smaller counties. There's not a lot of people. But 6,000 votes to 2,000 votes, that's 4,000 votes in the bank to offset the Democratic advantages elsewhere. That's what the president did 4 years ago. It looks like he's doing it in some of these places again. The issue is, as you get to the more populated counties, let's see if we have much votes. Earlier, we didn't have many votes. We still don't. This is a plus for Joe Biden. We don't have many votes out of Leon County yet. That's Tallahassee. And then you move over here, watching this all night to see if it switches. Duval County, again, sorry for the broken record, the suburbs. Jacksonville and the suburbs around it. Joe Biden at 51, the president at 47. If you go back in time, Donald Trump carries Florida 4 years ago narrowly, in part because he won the suburbs narrowly there. So, Wolf, as we watch this play out, I just want to come out to statewide and look. The president of the United States, 2,994 votes ahead in a state that has cast more than 9 million ballots.
Incredibly close in Florida right now. Voting is about to end in 16 states and the District of Columbia. The biggest round of poll closings tonight, a whopping 172 electoral votes are at stake in the next hour. We got some CNN projections right now. Let's start in Massachusetts. CNN projects Joe Biden will win the state of Massachusetts, will win its 11 electoral votes. CNN projects Joe Biden will win the state of Maryland and win its 10 electoral votes, another win for Biden in Maryland. Joe Biden will win his home state of Delaware with 3 electoral votes, a win in Delaware for Biden. And Joe Biden will win the District of Columbia, which has 3 electoral votes as well. Trump, we have a projection for Trump right now as well. Oklahoma, CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the state of Oklahoma with 7 electoral votes. That goes to Trump. Right now, we cannot make projections in these states. Take a look. Alabama, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, and New Hampshire. Also, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Tennessee. We cannot make projections in those states. Let's take a look at the Electoral College count as it stands right now. Biden has 30 electoral college votes. Trump has 18. Remember, 270 needed to win the presidency. Let's get a key race alert right now. Biden is leading in these states right now. In Ohio, that's a key battleground. 28% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead by almost 370,000 votes, 59.7% to 39.1%, 18 electoral votes. Biden is also ahead in Georgia right now. 10% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is up. It's very close by about 5,300 votes, 50% to 49% in Georgia. A tight battle underway. In New Hampshire right now, only 5% of the vote is in. Biden is ahead there by about 6,700 votes, 57.3% to 41.9% for electoral votes in New Hampshire. Trump is ahead in these two states. Let's take a look right now. Right now, Trump is ahead in Florida. 82% of the estimated vote in Florida is in, but he's ahead by about 11,000 votes. Look at how close it is in Florida right now, 49.6% to 49.4%. A tight battle in Florida underway right now. Trump is ahead in Virginia right now. 18% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has a 151,000 vote lead over Biden, 58% to 40.1%. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. We're looking at these states right now, but let's take a look at the big picture first, John. Give us a sense of what we're seeing.
Texas is blue. Look at that. Florida is blue. Look at that. South Carolina is blue. Look at that. Georgia is blue. Ohio is blue. West Virginia is blue. Again, if you're a Democrat at home, pick up your phone, take a picture. This is a map you love, right? It's not going to stay that way, but we'll see how many do, though. Texas, the Democrats think it's in play. West Virginia, I would be shocked. South Carolina, I would be shocked. Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Texas. This is a very different election. We are looking at competitive races in states that have been red
explain
for a
Texas,
long
what's
time
going
ago.
on now.
Well, I don't think we're going to have a lot of vote there, and we don't. See, so that's why we have 700,000, 1.1 million votes. Joe Biden's ahead because of this, though. Again, I'm going to say this repeatedly throughout the night. This is part of the changing Texas. Dallas and the suburbs around it flipped a House seat there 2 years ago. 81% there. Joe Biden leading in Dallas County, 66% of the vote.
I want to just point out a lot of this vote in Texas is early voting, which we anticipated would
early
be
vote. Yeah, it's early vote. Yeah, a lot of the blue you're seeing is because we're early. I mean, this is again a lot of early votes here. So again, you don't expect that to hold up. This is very competitive. This is very competitive. We know Democrats voted disproportionately early. They wanted to vote by mail. Coronavirus safety concerns. They were encouraged by Democrats early on. So we're looking at a map right now. We talked about this earlier. We're going to be talking about this all night long. Some states are reporting in a different way this year because of all the mail-in voting, because of absentee and early, and then you have in-person election day voting. Different states are reporting it in different ways, and some states, within those states, they're reporting it in different ways. Some states are giving you the early vote first. That's why you're seeing a lot of blue in places that are traditionally red, because we know Democrats disproportionately voted early. Other states are giving it to us in reverse. We're trying to be as transparent as we can be throughout the night to tell you what we know about what we're getting, but it makes for an interesting and somewhat unpredictable night. Now, that doesn't mean we won't be watching votes in Texas to see how competitive it is. Democrats do believe it will be a lot more competitive. Will it end the night blue? Stay with us. Brew some coffee.
Look at the popular vote nationwide. 10% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead by only 4,000 votes, 49.5% to 49.4%.
And remember, we've been, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by a large margin. We can go back and look at it, right? More than 2 million votes, close to 3 million votes, 4 years ago. The expectation is that Joe Biden will win the popular vote this time, but we have to see, and we're going to watch it as it plays out. So let's come back to the states where we know. Florida, I want to just start here because it has been a seesaw back and forth all night long. Donald Trump ahead right now by 22,170 votes in a state where we're approaching 10 million votes cast. We're just shy of that. That is a tiny lead, 49.6 to 49.4. And if you're looking at it, we're still waiting. You're starting to see the Panhandle, Pensacola filling in here, Escambia County. This is the Panhandle. This is where President Trump gets his votes. We're going to watch this play out. 22,000 votes, Wolf. Florida, we're still counting, and some others as well.
All right, we have another projection right now. CNN projects that President Trump will win the state of Kentucky. He'll win Kentucky with its 8 electoral votes. That's a win for Trump in Kentucky over Biden. This is where it stands right now on the race to 270. Biden has 30. Trump has 26. Once again, 270 needed to win the presidency. Let's get a key race alert right now. Here are 5 battleground states right now where Biden is ahead. Let's start with Pennsylvania right now. Only less than 1% of the vote is in, but Biden is ahead by nearly 40,000 votes, 79.9% to 18.8% for Trump. In Texas right now, 10% of the vote is in. Biden is ahead by about 226,000 votes, 58.7% to 40% for Trump. Let's go to Georgia right now. 10% of the vote is in. Look at how close it is. Only 453 vote lead for Biden over Trump, 49.5% to 49.5%. In Ohio, almost a third of the vote is in. Biden is ahead by 348,000 votes, 58.5% to 40.4% for Trump in Ohio. In New Hampshire right now, 5% of the vote is in. Biden is ahead by about 6,700 votes, 57.1% to 42.2% in New Hampshire right now. We got some more states right now. Trump is ahead in these states right now, beginning in Florida. 86% of the estimated vote is in. Trump is ahead by some 65,000 votes, 49.8% to 49.2%. Very, very close in Florida, 29 electoral votes. In Virginia, about a quarter of the vote is now in. Trump is still ahead in the Commonwealth of Virginia by more than 214,000 votes, 58.9% to 39.3% in Virginia. All these races so significant. John King, you're looking at all this as closely as anyone is looking at it. What do you see?
I see some unpredictability. I see a lot of swings back and forth. And again, that's the nature of the night. We need to remind everybody, you had early mail-in voting, early in-person voting, and election day voting. 3 different challenges for every state, every county in America, and every election agency as they pull all this together. And some states are doing it. Some states are doing it different ways, even within the same state. So you see states that are blue, like a South Carolina. We're looking at it right now. It's only 5% of the statewide reporting. If it ends up that way, that's dramatic breaking news. We just don't expect it. We need you to be patient at home. And we just need you to remember, different states are doing things in different ways. West Virginia is blue at the moment. Early votes, we know Democrats disproportionately wanted to vote early by mail. So when states are counting those first, you're going to see blue in some places that are traditionally red. It's okay. They're votes. They're real. They're real. They're just not complete. It's just not contextual. We just don't have everything. And so, again, you see it in Texas here. It looks big and blue on the map. When you zoom in on the state, it's not much, right? We don't have much yet. Small county here, small county here. The most significant vote center here is Dallas. So Joe Biden is leading in the state of Texas right now because we have some votes out of Dallas. I just want to remind you that the history here, though, that alone doesn't mean Joe Biden is not competitive in Texas tonight. We're going to be at this for a few hours, but one little blue spot there is not enough to overcome what usually happens in Texas, which is this. So strap in at home, brew extra coffee. We're going to have to go through all this as we do it. But we'll watch it. Those are real votes. Those are all real votes. Everything you see on this map are real votes. It's just we get them in different orders from different states. We need to be careful and calmly walk through it. In the states where we're going, though, that Ohio is blue right now, we're up to about a third of the vote. That's significant. That means Joe Biden, we don't know if he's going to win Ohio, but we know he's competitive in Ohio. And we know that Donald Trump, right now, Joe Biden is ahead 57 to 42. We know that Donald Trump won Ohio pretty comfortably 4 years ago. So, again, win or lose Ohio, there's a lesson in this that Joe Biden is more competitive than Hillary Clinton in these industrial states. And this would be a big one. No Republican has won the presidency in modern times without winning Ohio. So that Joe Biden is competitive here is a source of angst right now at the Trump campaign headquarters. Now, they know more about this, and they know that these small grays are going to fill in, but more of these small grays are going to fill in red, but more of them have been just in the last few minutes, and Joe Biden's still a lead. This is what I mean. This is what Donald Trump does in small-town America. 78%, right? 62 to 1,600. Not a ton of votes, but if you do it here and here and here, and you start running it up, that's what happens, right? Especially in the ones where you're getting 70s and more. You come over here and you come over here. You're getting 68, 70%. You start to run up the votes. But Democrats, Joe Biden in the Biden campaign, number one, this is a must. Democrats always win Cuyahoga County, but look how much he's winning it by. About 4, again, we've been waiting for a while. We're at 42% here, and we'll see if it evens out. You have Cleveland, African-American turnout in the city, and then the suburbs around it. The encouraging part at this moment, and we'll see if it sticks, is not just that Cuyahoga County, Cleveland is blue, but that Lake County to the northeast is blue. Suburban Cleveland right there, close, but still you're winning in the suburbs, and then you move over here to Lorain County as well. You go back in time here, you see Hillary Clinton carries this, but it's essentially a split, right? 47-47, a split there. Joe Biden right now on top by a more significant margin. These are the suburbs. There are more people. It's the 9th largest county. There's 88 in the state of Ohio. This is also encouraging to the Biden campaign when you come over here. Not just that you're winning. Democrats are supposed to win here. But again, with about half the vote counted, we'll see if it changes. Again, you get early votes, you get in-person voting. They come in different ways. Sometimes you get a big dump and it changes everything. But 62% right there. You come back pretty close split in this county. This is blue collar, work with your hands, America. It used to be reliable Democratic votes. This is where Trump cut in deeply to the Democratic Party right here. So now you come out here, we're going to watch Ohio come back to 2020. It's a great race. This tells you, no matter how this ends, this tells you that this is a very different campaign than we had 4 years ago, and that Joe Biden is more competitive than Hillary Clinton. You see Michigan votes, you see Pennsylvania votes. That's it right there. Joe Biden can be president if he just changes what happened 4 years ago in the industrial Midwest, but it's everywhere. He's in play everywhere. Let's pull up the red down here. 11,000, 117,000, I'm sorry, Trump vote lead right now, 50% to 49% if you round up there. And we're starting to get the panhandle, right? So you come all the way to the west, Escambia County, Pensacola, 53, so 54 to 44. You go back in time, that's a little, Trump's underperforming a little bit there percentage-wise. 88,000 votes, 69,000 votes, so that could be significant. This is the most populous county here along the panhandle right here. You keep an eye on that. It's red for Trump, as it should be, but remember, Joe Biden is underperforming in Miami-Dade, or at least he was. We'll check on it in a minute. If you're underperforming places, you need to do better elsewhere. Could be some votes there to be made up there. Then you start moving across the panhandle. And again, this is what the president does in smaller counties. And this one's a medium-sized county. It's 30. It's in the middle of Florida. 67 counties in Florida. This one's 30th. You keep coming across. This is what the president does, and you rack up the votes here. And if you pull it out into context, there are a lot of them, right? So you come across here. This is Alabama. This is Georgia. This part of Florida votes like the South, except for the cities. Now, we were waiting earlier for Leon County. This is Tallahassee, the state capital, the suburbs around it. You see blue right here, 63% for Biden, 60%. You might say that's not a big deal. In a state as tight as Florida, those little margins, if you can perform, again, especially if you're struggling in one place, you have to overperform somewhere else. So you see, you're watching that play out there. Again, though, the president's still 112, 113,000 if you round him up. Earlier, I was talking about, this is 2016. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the 2016 map. This is Duval County here. It was red 4 years ago. It is blue right now. You come back up. I'm looking at the 2016 total, thinking it was this year's total, because that's the way it always is in Florida. It's that close. 10 million votes are about to be cast. We're really close to 10 million votes, and 131,000 separates them right now. But Duval County is still blue for the Democrats, 51 to 47. That's the suburbs. Donald Trump makes it up in the rural areas. And then we're going to come across here. I just want to see where the margins are. One of the things you get at this point, Florida's returning so quickly, you're starting to figure out what's still out. Where can you find more votes? If you're going to make up 100,000, which is the lead right now, where can you get it? Orange County, growing, a lot of votes here, but about 93% of the estimate in. We'll see what the numbers are. We'll see what more votes come in. 383,000 here for Joe Biden right now, 329. So that's 50,000 votes. He's running ahead of Hillary Clinton, 50,000 plus from 4 years ago. The turnout's up everywhere, though, so the president's numbers are up, too. You're going county by county in the campaign war room. This is significant as you come across. Again, Hillsborough County, Tampa in the suburbs, Pinellas County, St. Pete in the suburbs along the coast. This was blue. I mean, this was red 4 years ago. It's very close, 49.2, 49.5 to 49.2, 2,000 votes. 2,000 votes there. 2,000 votes matter in a close state. And again, I want to do this again in reverse order this time. Palm Beach County, almost all counted. 56 for Joe Biden, come back in time. 56 for Hillary Clinton, so you're matching it up. Might not be good enough. Hillary Clinton lost the state. Come back to 2020. You come down here, 66%, second largest population center, second largest county in terms of people in Florida, 66. Come back in time, 66. You're essentially matching what happened 4 years ago. The vote count, 553. 562, turnout's up a little bit, but you're essentially matching the percentages there. And then you move down here. And this is the trouble sign. Again, we're not done. We're not done counting in Florida. Joe Biden can make it up somewhere else. But 54% Miami-Dade, 579 to 486,000. If you look at it there, number one, this is your biggest county in Florida. This is where the most votes are. We'll wait for more. But Hillary Clinton won this in a landslide. She walked out of here, 624 to 333. Hillary Clinton built up a huge lead in Miami-Dade, and she still lost the state. So Joe Biden is they're looking at that in Biden campaign headquarters, wondering what's left. You'll see what else comes in. You can make it up. It's a big population center. A lot of votes can come in. You can change the math, but you're not going to get back to that percentage. Again, 63% there, 54% there. If Joe Biden loses Florida narrowly tonight, this will be why. But we're not done yet. We're not done counting yet. You come back out, although that lead now 163,000. Just in the course of this conversation, President Trump has stretched it out. He stretched it out as it starts to fill in here, and as we get more of the votes here. This is what he does. And again, this is the Trump coalition. These smaller places, not a ton of people live here, but the president's above 80% in these places. He racks it up. 163,000, Wolf, 574 votes, 10 million now. We are past 10 million votes in the state of Florida. Remarkably close, 50.3 to 49 if you round that up.
89% of the estimated vote in Florida has already reported. We're standing by for the first results from Arkansas just minutes from now, as well as the second biggest round of poll closings right at the top of the hour. That's when a slew of battleground states are on the line: Arizona, Colorado, Minnesota, and Texas, as well as Michigan and Wisconsin. The next hour could go a long way toward deciding who ultimately wins the White House. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We have another projection right now. CNN projects President Trump will win the state of Tennessee, will win Tennessee's 11 electoral votes, a win for Trump in Tennessee. Here's where the race to 270 electoral votes stands right now. Trump is now on top. He has 37 electoral votes. Biden has 30 electoral votes. Remember, once again, 270 needed to win the White House. Let's get a key race alert, see where things stand in several of the critically important battleground states. In Ohio right now, 42% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead of Trump by some 312,000 votes, 55.3% to 43.5% for Trump in Ohio. In Pennsylvania, only 3% of the estimated vote is in, but Biden has a 143,000 vote lead over Trump, 82.2% to 16.9% in Pennsylvania. In Michigan right now, very, very early, less than 1% of the vote is in. Biden is ahead by some 10,000 votes, 58.9% to 39.7% in Michigan right now. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. He's a busy guy tonight. Got a lot going on. You got to look at all these battleground states and give us a sense of the latest.
It's a lot of fun. Joe Biden leads in the popular vote. If you care about that at home, I know some people out there aren't fans of the Electoral College. You see 12 million, to 12.4 million there. North Carolina starting to come in. It's shaded blue right now. Again, one of those states Donald Trump has to win to recreate his path from 2016. He doesn't have to win them all, but North Carolina is a big one. You see 56 if you round up to 43 right now. About half of the vote says 55%. So what are you looking at here? Number one, you start here. Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. This is the biggest area of the state. And look at that number. Look at that number. About 84% of the estimated vote in. Again, on a night like this, sometimes that swings a little bit because we have mail-in, in-person early, and then Election Day votes. But you go back in time and look, everywhere we're looking here, right? Is Joe Biden overperforming Hillary Clinton in the cities and the suburbs around them? That's what's happening right here in Charlotte and the suburbs right now, the biggest part of the state. 63% for Secretary Clinton 4 years ago. 69% if you round that up for Joe Biden. So that's a big building block to keeping North Carolina more competitive. Remember, Obama for 2008, record African-American turnout, back to Mitt Romney in 2012, to President Trump in 2016. You start in Mecklenburg, and then you come up here to Wake County. This is Raleigh, again, one of the fastest growing areas of the state. It's changing. It's diverse. There are new voters here. They tend to be college educated, younger voters as well. There's a lot of diversity. Not Donald Trump's vote. The new vote here is not Donald Trump's vote. 65, 66%. If you round it up to 33%, again, it's the second largest county in the state. It's about 10% of the state's voting population. 58% for Secretary Clinton, 66% for Joe Biden. So overperforming here, you just move over. This is the research triangle. Again, college-educated voters, suburbs turned away from President Trump during his presidency. 82% right now in Durham County here. Look at that. That's a big number. 82%. You go back in time, 79%. So you think that's only a little bit on the margins in a close state. That's what matters, because, again, this is another one of these states, and we see this all across America. We're watching it play out in Florida. We're going to watch it play out in Georgia. We'll see it in central Ohio. The president runs it up in the small towns, 67% here. He had a rally here just the other day. This will be interesting to watch. There are Trump super counties, if you will, around the country. The president went to certain places to do his rallies because he knew he was losing in the early voting, and they were all designed to turn people out. So you want to watch this here. 67% Trump-Clinton, right? Catawba County, let's come back here to go see where we are. It's about the same, right? Is that enough? 45,000 votes now and some change. 48,000 4 years ago. That could be a key test. We'll watch this play out. That's 75%. Let's watch. The president had a deliberate travel plan. He went to certain places where they knew their voters are, where they thought they could turn, at least match 2016, hopefully exceed 2016. So let's watch this when we get closer to the final. He was there for just a rally the other night. You pull it back out. Again, if you're the Democrats, you got to run it up in the cities. Asheville, suburbs around it, 63% now. 55%, 56% if you round up 4 years ago. Those are the building blocks. Go to the places where your candidate did well 4 years ago, but grow and build, especially in places where the population is changing like it is in North Carolina. Let's pull back out again and just take a look. Just want to wander through all this. You come down to the coast here in Wilmington. Not as big. It's the 9 of 100 counties in terms of the population, but you're down along the coast here. This is where you find Republicans in the suburbs, right? 52% to 47% is where we have it right now. Donald Trump carried this county with 50%. Again, it's 3 or 4 point swing. You think that's not a huge deal. It is when you're 55,000 votes for the president 4 years ago, 52,000 votes now in a very close state. 2,000 or 3,000 votes could matter. The Democrat getting 58 plus for Joe Biden there compared to 50. So 8,000 votes. 8,000 votes can make a difference in a close state when you're racking them up. Now, turnout is up everywhere. So everything, you're not making a direct comparison. We have to be careful about that. Let's come in here to Fayetteville. Both campaigns spent a lot of time here. The president had a rally here as well. Senator Harris was here. 60% for Joe Biden, 38% for the president. Let's go back in time. 57%. Again, Joe Biden overperforming. Let's actually pull that out and see if we can see how significant the overperforming is as we come into the thing. Let's see where he's overperforming here. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong map. Thank you. Let me come back out here. Back out, and we hit where is he overperforming, right? And so he's overperforming. If you see these counties where he's overperforming, where the two biggest places for a Democrat, for anybody, but for a Democrat in North Carolina, they are Mecklenburg County and they are Wake County. And you see here, he's overperforming Hillary Clinton by 5 percentage points here, the biggest, most populous county in the state. That's the building block of a smart campaign. Then you come over here to Wake County, second largest county in the state. Again, changing population. You know what happened in the suburbs during the 4 years of Donald Trump. This is where you go. You turn out your African-American base. You try to get young people on those college campuses. Here in the Research Triangle, a lot of new voters with college degrees, professionals in the suburbs. That's what you try to do. And you see Joe Biden, and you come out here. This is significant as well. These are counties President Trump is going to win. But Joe Biden is overperforming Hillary Clinton by 5 percentage points or more. What's that mean? Shrinking the president's margins in these smaller places where the president tends to run it up. You shrink the president's margins there. You expand your margin in a place like this. Let's check in on Winston-Salem as well. I don't want it to feel forgotten. Important to the Democrats here. Again, 59%, just shy of 100,000 votes for Joe Biden. That's 5,000 votes. 5,000 votes matters in a close state when you're coming through. So you come back to 2020 here. We're not done in North Carolina. I'm not saying by any means we're done. We're going to keep counting votes, but let's turn this off and look at the entire state. 54 to 48. That's a nice lead for the former vice president right there, 60% in. You know, in a lot of these places here, the president's going to get his votes. But if you're the Democrats and you look at the early North Carolina map, you are encouraged, especially when you compare in the suburbs and in the cities. Did you turn out the Democratic base? Did you make inroads in the suburbs? That's what that looks like so far. We got a ways to go. And I say when we have a ways to go, we're looking at a South Carolina right now that is blue, which reminds us, go slow, be cautious. Don't think anything we see now is absolutely definitive about where we're going to end the night. However, just that it's closer, it's only 9% of the vote. Just that some of these red states are going to be closer does tell you something. There's a competitive Senate race there. We'll see how it plays out when we get more votes. Let's keep going down. Ohio is still blue. I was going to go south to Florida, but Ohio is still blue. I just want to check on it. About 40%. That's where we were last time. 55. There's a lot of, not as many, though, rural counties to fill in here. And we'll just pull out to the map and we look just really quick. Florida, still close, but the president holding that lead there. Georgia, still close, ways to go. Long way to go in the vote count in Florida. In Georgia, not as much to go in Florida. If you're the president, you're looking at 189,000 in Florida, and you're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable.
206,000 right now. 90% of the vote in Florida is in. Let's check in with Jake, Dana, and Abby.
All right, well, thanks so much. So there's a lot of blue on the map right now, but of course, it's still very, very early. What are you looking for?
Look, I mean, you're exactly right. The fact that Georgia, in particular, seems to be so competitive when 4 years ago, if anybody would have told us, you know, watch Georgia, we would have said, no, that's a very red state. And it seems to be really giving Donald Trump a run for his money. And it is, as we talked about, and which is similar in a lot of other battleground states, the changing demographics and the suburbs.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that we might see tonight a little bit of a distinction. I mean, when we talk about demographics, we often sort of talk about it in in a way that where we're saying all demographics benefits the Democrats, but that's not always the case. In Florida, Joe Biden is struggling because he's struggling with Latino voters in Florida in particular, but we might see him benefiting from non-white voters coming out for him in places like Georgia, in places like Ohio, in places like North Carolina as well. So we'll see what happens, but it's not going to be necessarily an even story all across the map because of these different populations acting in different ways.
And you said non-white voters. I think the other thing that's interesting that we're seeing is that white voters, which, you know, either college educated or not, you kind of think of more historically for Donald Trump. It seems to be changing, at least in the exit polls that we're seeing so far.
Well, there are in some of these states it's a smaller percentage of voters that are white.
Yep.
And Donald Trump is not doing as well with them, even if he is winning them. And it's those different kinds of margins that will determine this election ultimately. And of course, there's also different kinds of Latino voters, for example. There's Latino voters who are largely Cuban American and Venezuelan American in southern Florida. And then there's Latino voters who are largely Mexican American in Arizona, and it's a very diverse group politically, in addition to where their ancestors are from. The other thing that's very interesting is how Biden is, even though he's doing worse with some of these groups, like Latino voters, he's doing better with suburban voters. And we're seeing that across the board.
And I think this is where we need to put on our 2020 hats and allow 2020 to be what it is, which is that Biden may put together a coalition that is different than what we've seen from other Democrats, particularly Barack Obama, who was the last Democrat to win the White House. The Obama coalition was something fairly specific. It involved younger voters, involved a lot of black voters, and a lot of Hispanic voters. Joe Biden might need to do something different tonight. He might need to cobble together more older voters, more suburban women, more non-college educated men, in order to win in some of the places he needs to win, like a Pennsylvania, in order to get to 2.
Which is exactly what the Biden campaign was telling me, and I'm sure both of you as well, coming into this, which is why they have felt better in the northern states, in the northern Midwestern states, because his coalition isn't the same as the guy who was the president when he was the vice president for 8 years. It's just different.
No, he's middle-class Joe. That's what he calls himself.
Scrappy kid from Scranton.
But they've got to perform. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road. And I think when we talk about what's going on in Florida, this is where Democrats were not able to turn out their voters. They have to turn them out elsewhere on the map.
Of course, we're all still waiting for those big 3 Midwestern states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. Wolf?
All right, thanks very much. We have another projection right now. CNN projects that President Trump will win the state of West Virginia with its 5 electoral votes. Trump wins West Virginia, 5 electoral votes. Too early to call in the state of Arkansas, which has 6 electoral votes. Too early to call there. Let's take a look at the race for 270. Let's take a look at where it stands right now. Trump right now has 42 electoral college votes. Biden has 30. Once again, 270 needed to win the presidency. Let's get a key race alert right now. Here are some of the latest numbers. North Carolina right now, take a look at this. 62% of the estimated vote in North Carolina is in. That's a lot. Trump is losing to Biden right now by some 329,000 votes. Biden is ahead 53.9% to 44.9% in North Carolina. In the key battleground state of Ohio, 44% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead there by an impressive 284,000 votes, 54.5% to Trump's 44.3%, 18 electoral votes in Ohio. In the key battleground state of Pennsylvania, only 6% of the estimated vote is in, but Biden is ahead by about almost 79,000 votes, 58.7% to 40.7%, 20 electoral votes in Pennsylvania. In Texas right now, almost half of the vote is in, 45%. Biden is ahead in Texas right now by 250,000 votes, 51.7% for Biden in Texas. Trump has 46.9%. A huge number of electoral votes at stake in Texas, 38 electoral votes in Texas. In New Hampshire right now, 10% of the vote is now in. Biden is ahead there by about 7,500 votes, 53.7% for Biden, 45.3% for Trump. 4 electoral votes in New Hampshire right now. Too early to call in several of these states. We're monitoring right now, once again, Florida, Michigan, Georgia, and Virginia. We cannot make any projections in those states right now. Too early to call right now. But let's take a look at the vote in those states right now. In Florida right now, 90% of the vote is in Florida. Trump is ahead by about 226,000 votes, 50.5%, to Biden's 48.4% in Florida. In Michigan right now, only 4% of the vote is in. Trump is ahead by 39,000 votes, 57.5% to 40.6%. In Georgia, the numbers are increasing. 22% of the estimated vote is in. Trump is ahead by an impressive 154,000 votes right now, 56.2% to 42.8%. In Virginia right now, 30% of the vote is in. Trump is ahead, also impressive, 260,000 vote lead in Virginia over Biden, 58.3% to 39.6%. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. I'm really curious to see what we're seeing in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
It's interesting that we have a lot of places on the map that at this moment in time, and remember this was going to be that night because of the combination, mail-in voting, early in-person voting, election day voting, different states handling those ballots in different ways. The map looks a little different than we expected. Now, we'll see where it ends up. That's what makes tonight exciting. Makes it exciting. But you're looking at a map right now that has Kansas in blue, Virginia in red, where I started my career, Rhode Island in red. I don't expect it to end that way. Michigan's in red at the moment, but again, we're waiting for votes to be counted. We're very preliminary in some of these states. And on the flip side, I just circled some states that you'd be surprised by. You look right down here, Texas is blue, Mississippi is blue, South Carolina is blue, which tells you what? A, we're having an unusual night because of the pandemic election and the different ways people are voting and the different ways states are counting. So everybody needs to be patient. Number two, it's just without a doubt, though, even as I say that, and even as we have a long way to go, we are seeing a very different map. We are seeing in a place like Ohio, where Hillary Clinton was not competitive 4 years ago, we don't know how it's going to end tonight. We know Joe Biden is more competitive in this race and across the industrial Midwest with blue-collar Americans who voted for Trump. We know Joe Biden is more competitive, and we know that because just look at that. That's a 10-point lead in Ohio, only 40% of the vote. There's a long way to go. Ohio is a traditionally Republican state. It's the more Republican if you're going through Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. This is more Republican than those states, so we'll see how it ends up. But the fact that Joe Biden is competitive and the fact that he is doing what a Democrat needs to do, at least so far, we're not at the finish line, but so far the building blocks of a Democratic win in a state as fiercely competitive, Republican-leaning even, is Ohio. Is you've got to run it up in the cities. This is the biggest one of all, Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, 75% of the vote right there. You go back 4 years ago, again, 66%, overperforming Hillary Clinton. Lake County in 2016 went for Donald Trump. This is the suburbs to the northeast of Cleveland. Right now, 61% of the vote in those suburbs going for Joe Biden. Remember what happened in 2018. In 2016, Donald Trump narrowly wins the suburbs. He's president. 2018, the suburbs revolt. Nancy Pelosi is speaker. Test tonight. Does that last? Does that accelerate? Does it stay the same? Lake County right now, we'll see. We're not at the finish line. Tells us that the suburban revolt and rejection of President Trump continues. Is it enough in Ohio? We don't know yet. But Lorain County again, to the west of Cleveland, Joe Biden at 57% when you round up. You go back in time, almost 10 points, running almost 10 points ahead of Hillary Clinton. Again, look at the vote totals. Turnout's up everywhere, so this makes the math a little different this year. 66,000, just short of 67,000 there. Joe Biden running behind that right now, but we still have 60% of the vote. We're going to watch as it plays out. Again, you come back out to Battleground, Ohio. Why are we spending so much time on it? Joe Biden flips this state blue. Donald Trump has no path to re-election. If Joe Biden flips this state blue, Donald Trump has no path to re-election. That's why we're going to spend some time on this. And we're watching it right now about halfway through, though. About halfway through means things can change. So let's keep an eye on it. Let's come back out. You see Pennsylvania is blue. I just want to stop here very quickly to see we don't have anything yet. So it's blue at the moment with early votes. We'll stay with this one. We're told, Pennsylvania could be tomorrow, could be a couple days after that. We'll watch as it fills in. Joe Biden has a lead early on. It looks blue on the map. You're happy if you're a Democrat, but that's not, we're not there yet. So you come down here. I said if Joe Biden wins Ohio, Donald Trump's path to re-election is blocked. If Joe Biden wins North Carolina, Donald Trump's path to re-election is almost blocked. You can come up with some other scenarios, but it's really hard. And so you're looking at this one right now, 66, 2/3 of the vote in Wolf, 53 to 46 when you round up, 275,000 vote lead. That gets hard to overcome at some point.
66% of the vote in North Carolina is in, and Biden has a 275,000 vote lead. I want to check in with David Chalian right now. So we have a sense, David, how much of this vote is early vote, how much of it is today vote?
We do have that sense. As John was just showing you, what you see here now is a Joe Biden lead. He's got 2 million votes to Donald Trump's 1.7 million. This is 66% of the estimated vote that is in North Carolina right now. But Wolf, I want to show you what percentage of that is early vote. 97% of the current vote that you're looking at in North Carolina is early vote. That's benefiting Joe Biden. In fact, in the big Democratic counties, in Charlotte, in Wake County, and in Raleigh area, it's almost all early vote, those big Democratic counties. And we expect the share of the early vote to go down to 75% of the total vote at the end of the night. That could benefit Donald Trump as more election day vote comes in. So it's just the note of caution that right now, the vast majority of the vote that's in North Carolina is early vote, and that is benefiting Joe Biden at the moment. So there's still more election day vote to be counted.
What about Ohio? Do we know Ohio?
Well, in Ohio, I think what we see here is that Joe Biden's also benefiting from early vote there, but there's more early vote to come in there. So, take a look here. We have 49% of the total estimated vote in. 29% of it right now is early vote. We think that's going to climb, okay? 53% is our estimate of the Ohio vote that will be early vote. So it's an opportunity, actually. Joe Biden has the lead now for him to actually grow his lead in Ohio, perhaps, Wolf. That's
very interesting, and John, as you and I well know, no Republican has ever, and you've pointed this out, has ever won the White House without carrying Ohio.
Right. It was so critical. Obama took it back from George W. Bush. Remember the 2004 election? People forget how close 2004 was. 2004 came down to one state, Ohio. That was the first election after 9/11. It was a very close state. But let's come up now to 2020. We can do history another day because we have history unfolding before us right now. And in 2020 right now, this is a very important point that David just made. And this is why we've said throughout the night, we need you to be patient at home. This is all real. These are real votes. However, the context is we're waiting, right? So a lot of this is early vote. We know Democrats voted disproportionately in some states more than others. North Carolina is one of the states where we know Democrats disproportionately voted early. Democrats returned their ballots early in the mail-in voting. So now we watch to see the election day vote. And again, that's why the president was traveling the country in the last week in places like North Carolina, trying to get his people to show up today because he knew coming into today he was behind. This tells us that was, in fact, correct. And so you're looking here in Mecklenburg County, which is the largest county in the state, and you bring it up. The challenge is, we think this is about 84% of the vote. Joe Biden will win Mecklenburg County. Hillary Clinton won Mecklenburg County. It's Charlotte and the suburbs around it. The question is, can Donald Trump close that gap? Close that gap. It's all about margins when you're in a close race, right? In the places you see on this map that are blue right now, Joe Biden's leads are enormous. That's Charlotte. This is Winston-Salem. Again, 59 to 40, right? So almost a 20-point lead there. Let's just go back and take a look. 59 to 40. You come back here, 53 to 43. So a 10-point race, 10 points and change here. 4 years ago, Donald Trump carries the state. With the early vote, Joe Biden has a much bigger advantage. Now we have to count the rest. We have to finish. We have to finish. We might be 2/3, 3/4 even way around the track. We're not finished. And we have to wait for those votes to come in before we can tally. Joe Biden is doing what he needs to do, impressively, actually, when you look at these places, but we're not at the finish line yet. So you come up here to Durham County. Again, 83% in. Let's see when that election day vote comes in. Does President Trump narrow this gap? That's ouch, right? 82 to 17. If you look at it that way, you go back in time. It was ouch 4 years ago, 80 to 18, right? But again, in a race on the margins, can he get it just a little bit closer? A little bit closer. Even in a place you're not going to win, you got to get it a little bit closer. And then let's pull back out again. Number two, this was it. The Democrats spent a lot of time here. Wake County, second largest county in the state, one of the places that is growing again. You start in the city, you move out to the suburbs, 65, 33, 58, 38, if you round up for the president. Again, this is why it matters. But again, we have to see if it sticks. Right? We have to see if it sticks. The Democrats got around the track with the early voting. Now we'll wait for the rest of the election day vote to come in. And one of the things you counter with, you see the open spots, the gray spots, right? These are the smaller, more rural counties. Let's just go back in time. We don't have anything there. This is where Hillary Clinton actually won Chatham County. So that's an opportunity there for the Democrats if it comes in. We have nothing there so far in a place. Let's come back to 2020 here again. You come over here. You start getting between Asheville and Winston-Salem, right? This is an interesting area. The president tends to run it up in places like this. We don't have anything yet. You come back in time. This was a 68% county 4 years ago. So this is what you want to watch. When the rest of it comes in, these are smaller counties, so it's hard to overcome a big lead, 250,000 votes. When you're at 67%, you're starting to get into the danger zone. But there's room. There's room on this map for the president to certainly narrow it. I want to check one more down here in Fayetteville and bring this out. Cumberland County, again, president did a rally here just the other night, 60 to 38, 56 to 40. Got to get up a little bit more. Again, you say, oh, that's not that much. It can matter in a very close race to narrow those margins. So let's wait to see if the president can get his vote total up, narrow the margins a little bit as we go through it. And again, you're spending extra time on these states because Joe Biden does not need this. Joe Biden can win the presidency without North Carolina. If Joe Biden wins North Carolina, the president's math gets near impossible. And let's pull back out because another place, if president lost this, it would be near impossible, but they're feeling pretty good. We're not ready yet. Florida's hard. We wait. We count every last vote. They're feeling pretty good at Trump headquarters about that one. Let me just check up here on Georgia. Still very early here to see where Georgia goes again. You want to build a lead. You always want to build a lead, but we're nowhere near done here.
I want to show two maps. The map where we see some of these blue states right now, that could easily change. But show us the Electoral College map, where things stand right now as far as the projections we've already done.
Right. Okay. So just looking at this map, before I walk over to this map here, Texas, Kansas, Missouri, blue.
Right.
That would be something. If in a few hours, when we're a few more espressos in, that would be something. But again, please bear with us and bear with these election officials because they're all doing their job, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, large counties, small counties. These are amazing people. And so they're counting. They have mail-in votes. They have in-person early voting. They have election day turnout. Turnout is up everywhere. So these volunteers, they're always stressed. And guess what? This year, with more people voting, which is a good thing, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, the work is hard. So some of this votes, I'm sure that's early vote. Democrats tended to vote early. We'll watch what happens. Maybe we'll have some surprises. Fine. That's good, too. But what you're seeing right here is preliminary. I just want to come over here right now to just look at this map because the idea is to get to 270. And again, we're waiting on Florida to finish. We're waiting for more Election Day votes in North Carolina. This is what we know. What we know so far, on the way to 270, Donald Trump has 42, Joe Biden has 30, which tells us what? We have a long way to go. Nothing on this map so far. There are surprises over here, right? We don't know if they're going to hold. As I said, some of these states are reporting early, so you have red states that are blue states. This is not a surprise so far. This map is filling in as we expected. The challenge for Joe Biden is to flip, right? This is the president's map 4 years ago. Joe Biden would love to flip this, this, and this. If he flips two of those three and holds the Clinton states, he's the next president of the United States, and he's competitive. Joe Biden is in a whole lot of other places, including Arizona, maybe in Texas. We're going to watch. So I just come back over here. And again, this map looks, if you're a Democrat, you're celebrating this map because you're leading in Texas, you're leading in Kansas, you're leading in Missouri, you're leading in Ohio. Those words have not been spoken in a very long time on a presidential election night. And just be patient at home, though. They're unlikely to. It's unlikely to stand. Just pull out Missouri, for example. It's one of the more conservative states in the country. Joe Biden's ahead right now, but that's early voting. You come down to Texas. This one's more real. This one is more real. We're up to about 60% of the estimated vote. We have a ways to go. We know Texas is going to be more competitive this year. Can Joe Biden win it? Stay with us. We'll get through this. But so as you look at this map fill in, you have Joe Biden ahead by 216,000 votes in a giant state like Texas. And so you're looking at the map. Again, I just want to go back in time. Most of this is going to fill in red. Most of them are small counties, but it just adds up after a while. So the challenge for the Democrats is where you see the dots, where you see major urban areas, Democrats have to run it up. In the cities, the suburbs around them, a lot of growing suburbs in Texas. You look at Dallas, again, Democrats flipped a House seat here 2 years ago. They hope to build. They think they can even pick up more House seats here, down in the Austin area as well. 66% for Joe Biden right now. You go back in time, 61% for Secretary Clinton. That's where people live. That's what you want to do. Expand what the last Democrat did and grow. So that's so far a building block there. Let's come back to 2020. Move down. Largest county in the state is right here. It's the size of Rhode Island. It would be the 25th largest state if it were a state by itself. Harris County, Houston, and the sprawling suburbs. More than 16% of the vote comes right here, right? There's been a lot of voting here. We know turnout was off the charts here. 789,000 votes for 56% in Harris County, Texas. You go back in time. 707,000 votes, 54%. So turnout is up. Joe Biden's percentage is up. Again, you're nowhere near the finish line in Texas, but those are the building blocks to be competitive and to maybe win. Democrats think there's a House seat down here. They could flip as well. So then you come down here. You come to the other major urban areas. San Antonio. The Latino vote matters here. You're in the city. Then you go to the suburbs. 59% for Joe Biden. This time, you go back in time. 54%, 55% if you round it up for Secretary Clinton. For me, the vote totals matter because turnout is up, 319,000 then. Come up to now, Joe Biden already approaching 400,000 votes. Turnout is up everywhere, which is a great thing. No matter who wins tonight, turnout is up, which is a great thing, and we hope that continues. You come down here, this is where Beto O'Rourke and others in Texas told the Democrats, you want to win the state? Yes, you have to be competitive in Dallas and Houston. Please come down here, try to turn out votes here. Let's see Joe Biden here. This is the 19th largest county, Webb County, 59%. Go back in time. 74%. So let's see, this could be a place where you're looking at the end of the night. Is this a place where Joe Biden underperforms Hillary Clinton? We'll watch that as we go through it. In Texas, again, a lot of votes to count. Wolf, looking at Austin as well. Williamson County above it, and Travis County here. Joe Biden running it up where a Democrat needs to, but a long way to go to count in Texas. And remember, it's not just about the presidency. There's a Senate race there. There are a couple House races there. Democrats think they have a chance to take back the House, the Texas State House. We'll see. A lot of business to do still.
We certainly will. We're standing by for the second largest wave of poll closings just minutes from now at 9 Eastern, when the last polls in 14 states: Arizona, Colorado, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, South Dakota, Texas, Wisconsin, and Wyoming all closed. 156 electoral votes are at stake in this coming hour. Remember, 270 are needed to win the presidency. We're watching key races in multiple battlegrounds in the next hour: Arizona, Colorado, Minnesota, and Texas, along with two of the most coveted prizes tonight, Michigan and Wisconsin, battlegrounds that may hold the keys to the White House. Those states sealed President Trump's victory in 2016, and Joe Biden is hoping to win them back for the Democrats. Let's get a key race alert. All right, 5 states where Biden is leading right now. Let's start in North Carolina. 70% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a nearly 220,000 vote lead right now over Trump, 52.1% to 46.8%. And once again, 70% of the estimated vote in North Carolina is in. In Ohio, half of the vote is now in. Biden has an impressive 341,000 vote lead over Trump, 54.9% to 43.9%. 18 electoral votes in Ohio. In Pennsylvania, only 10% of the vote is in, but Biden has a 210,000 vote lead, 213,000 vote lead over Trump, 65% to 34.3%, 20 electoral votes in Pennsylvania. Texas, a huge prize, 38 electoral votes, 62% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a lead of 189,000 over Trump, 50.6% to 48%. In New Hampshire, 13% of the estimated vote is now in. Biden has a 7,600 vote lead over Trump, 53% to 46%. Trump is leading in these 4 states. Let's show you these states. He's leading right now in Florida. 91% of the estimated vote in Florida is in. Trump has an impressive 260,000 vote lead over Biden in Florida, 50.7% to 48.3%. In Michigan right now, only 9% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has a 107,000 vote lead over Biden, 59.7% to 38.2%. In Georgia, a quarter of the vote is now in. Trump is ahead by almost 177,000 votes right now, 55.9% to 43.1%. More than a third of the vote is in Virginia right now, and Trump has a 285,000 vote lead over Biden, 57.7% to 40.2% in the Commonwealth of Virginia. All right, let's focus in a little bit on North Carolina and Ohio right now, John, because if Biden wins those 2 states, potentially, that could be the ballgame.
Those would be the ball game. Those are 2 states absolutely critical. The president got 306 electoral votes 4 years ago. You take away Ohio, you take away North Carolina. Joe Biden holds the Clinton states. He's the next president of the United States without even taking back all the blue wall. So let's focus on them. Ohio, let's just focus on this just for a second and look at this right now. Ohio is blue, right? That's a big deal. North Carolina is blue. There are some other anomalies on the math. And again, I know I'm a broken record. Just want to keep everybody at home, especially for those tuning in later in the night. Mail-in voting, early in-person voting, Election Day voting, the combination of those things, the count's going to come in different ways tonight, and things are going to be different. And things are going to be different, and the map's going to bounce around a little bit. And this is real. These are votes. We're counting them. They're important. It could change. It's not where we are in the middle. It's where we get in the end. And for out here, we haven't even begun yet. So let's just get to Ohio, because we're in the middle here, 50% of the estimated vote count right there. And however this ends, this is already a statement tonight about how Joe Biden is performing differently than Hillary Clinton. outperforming Hillary Clinton in the industrial Midwest. Look at this, 54.5 to 44.3. It's almost a flip of 4 years ago. The president carried the state 52 to 44. That was a handy win, an easy win, almost an easy win for Donald Trump 4 years ago. And so now you come forward here. We're not done. We have a way to go here. We have a way to go here. But I just want to look at this in Cleveland. You bring this out. That's what you want to do as a building block. That's one way to look at it. You go through the building blocks of the state. Let's look at it another way, right? One of the challenges is, why Joe Biden, not Hillary Clinton, right? We've said consistently, Joe Biden is not Hillary Clinton. That's not meant as a criticism of anybody. It's meant as a performance metric. Look at this. This is Joe Biden outperforming Clinton by 5 percentage points or more. Look at all of these counties. And yes, in the blue counties where Democrats need votes, that's important. You're getting more of your people. You're outperforming in the places, Democratic bases, in the cities and in the suburbs. That's critical. But you know what's just as critical? Look at all the red. In all these small places where Donald Trump runs it up. That's why he's president. Runs it up in Pennsylvania, ran it up in Wisconsin, ran it up in Michigan, ran it up in Florida, ran it up in North Carolina. That's why he's president.
It's very impressive where Biden is overperforming. Where's Trump overperforming?
So you come out, that's where you want to come out, right? So take that off. Is the president overperforming himself? Look at this in Ohio, one county.
Wow.
One county, right? So you come up and you say, well, okay, what about overperforming? Let's turn that off. Where is he underperforming? A lot of places. So Joe Biden is overperforming in Democratic areas and in Trump counties. The president is underperforming by 5 points or more. Importantly, number one, these smaller counties, that's where he tends to run it up. He gets 70%, he gets 65%, he gets 82%. It's a couple hundred votes here, a couple thousand votes here. That's how you win a state. He won this one convincingly. But remember, Donald Trump, I am your voice, right? Trade deals, trade. Sanders voters, come to me. They live here. They live here, right? 61 to 37 right now. You come back 4 years ago, 49 to 47. This is the story of Ohio right now. Will it get there to the finish line? We don't know. But Joe Biden is overperforming Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump is underperforming himself, if you will, which is why this state is competitive right now. We just turn this off and come back to where we are about halfway through.
Is Biden underperforming any place in Ohio?
Well, let's bring it out and we'll take a look. You ask a question, I'll try to get you an answer. Is Biden underperforming anywhere? The answer to that is no. At the moment, the answer to that is no. And again, that was right. Remember back, and Joe Biden said this today when he was talking to reporters. At the beginning of the primaries, everybody said, you're not the guy, you're not the fit. You're not what we want. You're not in touch with the movement of the Democratic Party, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. Joe Biden's message was, I can win these guys. Joe Biden's message was, I can do better than Hillary Clinton here and here and here. Toledo, Akron, Youngstown. If a Democrat is doing better than Donald Trump in those places, Democrats are expected to win them. The question is the margins. Yeah. That's how you win.
And Biden is ahead by 300,000 votes right now in Ohio. Let's do the same thing in North Carolina right now.
Let's come over. North Carolina blue at the moment. We're not at the finish line. Democrats would see this and celebrate. Republicans would see this and get nervous. We're not done yet. We're still in the middle chapters here, but we're up to about 70% of the estimated vote. Those numbers will swing a little bit too with the combination of the voting. Early votes came in first. We're waiting to see. We knew a lot of this early. Joe Biden's early lead was because of the early vote, right? The question is, the president was rallying there all week long. The vice president went there as well. Can you turn out today on Election Day the Trump army to overcome the early voting? Well, 51, rounded up, it's 52 to 47. Just to go back for comparison, again, 50 to 47. 3-point race for the president 4 years ago. Right now, Joe Biden. And so Joe Biden, you want to do the performance metrics. Let's look at it. Where is the president overperforming Hillary Clinton? Well, a lot of places, and a lot of places that matter. Again,
that's Biden.
Biden overperforming Hillary Clinton by a lot of places, including the places you need votes the most. Most populous county in the state, Mecklenburg. Biden outperforming Clinton by 5% or more. 68.4, 63. This was a good county. This was a good county for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. She did that's a very good job, right? You're looking at that, but Joe Biden is doing it even more so. In this case, some of that's Joe Biden. Some of that, when we flip it and look at the president, some of that's Donald Trump because of the suburbs around, without a doubt. So you come up here to Wake County, number 2 county in the state. This is about math in the end, right? Number 1 county, run up the vote. Number 2 county by population, run up the vote. That's what Joe Biden's doing, 65 to 33, 58 to 37. That's where it matters. Get the votes where the people are and try to run it up. So this is where you pull it out this way. This is where Biden is overperforming, right? Is Biden underperforming anywhere? Let's check on that one first. Again, 1 county, 1 Republican county. That's a pretty good record. And so now we're going to flip it this way. Where's the president underperforming? Several counties so far. Not a ton, not a lot. This is a very competitive state. So if you're the Trump campaign, that's not horrible. You don't want to underperform anywhere. Let's see if the president is overperforming anywhere. which is the key. Can you do better than you did in a couple of these smaller counties down here? That's what makes it a battleground state. But the key here was the first metric we showed you. The key metric, if you're the Democrats, you lived the last campaign. Those are a lot of important places. And it's, again, when you see Winston-Salem, Charlotte, Raleigh, those are where the Democratic votes are. Cities surrounded by suburbs. The farther out in the suburbs you can go, that's what Democrats are trying to do. And so if you're Joe Biden, especially, again, down here along the coast, you're looking for places that flip. New Hanover County, you're along the coast. Wilmington, 52-47. 4 years ago was the other way, 50-46. You're flipping counties because you're overperforming. These are suburban voters. This, again, the Republican revolt. Women will watch the women votes number, the gender gap at the end of the night. But if you're coming in here now, let me just turn this off as we go and look. Here's where we are. 193,000 votes. That's a little closer. That's a little closer. The election day vote is starting to come in. The lead is shrinking a little bit. And again, as the election day vote comes in, you're watching places like this, tiny counties, right? There's 100 counties in North Carolina. This is number 21. This is where the president does it. 70%, things like that. You come back in time, 72%, right? So this is where he does it here in North Carolina. We're going to watch this play out. I just want to pull out the map just to see if anything else has changed. Come back to 2020 and take a look. Texas is still blue. Let's just take a peek. Still at 65%, but again, see the smaller here. Most of that's going to fill in red. Most of that's going to fill in red, but if you're Joe Biden, you're looking at that, you're encouraged. We got a long way to go, though. Long way to go. Let's just move around. Oklahoma is as it should be. We see that one coming in red. I want to come back over here and look again at Georgia. We haven't had any votes from Georgia in a while. The vote count's not going up that much. It's a comfortable lead for the president right now, but we got a long way to go here. Let's just come back to Ohio, the state that could decide it all. Again, the president needs this one. Absolutely needs this one, without a doubt. We're at 52%, 54-45, battleground Ohio. Map starting to fill in, but still a long way to go, Wolf.
Certainly is. Voting, John, is about to end in 14 states. That's the second biggest wave of results tonight. 156 electoral votes are up for grabs. We're watching 6 key battleground states, from Arizona in the west to Michigan and Wisconsin in the Midwest. We have a projection right now. CNN projects that Joe Biden will win the state of New York and win its 29 electoral votes. Biden beats Trump in New York State. We cannot make projections at this hour in these states: Arizona, Colorado, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, South Dakota, Texas, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Take a look at the Electoral College map where it stands right now. With Biden winning New York State, Biden is now ahead. He has 59 electoral votes to Trump's 42 electoral votes. You need 270 to be elected president of the United States. Let's get a key race alert right now, see where things stand. First of all, let's go to North Carolina right now, 15 electoral votes. 74% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is still ahead by about 170,000 votes, 51.4% to 47.5% in North Carolina. Let's go to Ohio right now. More than half of the vote is now in. Biden is ahead there, an impressive 281,000 vote lead over Trump, 53.6% to 45.1% in Ohio. In Pennsylvania, only 14% of the vote is in, but Biden has what looks like a comfortable lead right now, 353,000 vote lead over Trump, 66.8% to 32.4% in Pennsylvania. In Texas right now, look at this, 65% of the estimated vote is in. Biden still maintains a lead. It's close in Texas. He has a lead of about 84,000 votes, 49.8% to 48.7% in Texas. In New Hampshire, 13% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a 8,600 vote lead over Trump, 53.2% to 45.7%. Trump, on the other hand, is leading in these 4 states. In Florida, 92% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has a pretty comfortable 271,000 vote lead over Biden. In Florida, 50.8% to 48.2%. In Michigan, only 15% of the vote is in. Trump is ahead. It's early there. 183,000 vote lead over Biden. It's early in Michigan, 59.3% to 38.4%. Almost a third of the vote is in Georgia. Trump has a relatively comfortable lead, 248,000 vote lead over Biden, 57.2% to 41.8%. In Virginia, more than a third of the vote is in. Trump has a nearly 300,000 vote lead in Virginia over Biden, 57.7% to 40.2%. Let's go back to John King. He's looking at the magic wall for us. It's a lot of stuff going on. You see a lot of red, but you see a lot of blue as well.
It's an interesting map right now. So I'm going to go through some of the big ones that we're going to watch as we play out right now. And we'll start in Ohio. But then I just want to explain some of these other states that look a little different right now. And we'll see. We could have a different election night. We'll see. This is the big one for me, Ohio. And the more of this is starting to fill in, right? So I just want to show you 2016. You see all this red in here. That's what you're looking for. Those are the small counties where the president runs it up. But as they fill in, Joe Biden is holding on to that lead. But we still have a way to go. About 53% here. But again, this is impressive. And it's somewhat, the Democrats thought this was in play. Joe Biden went there on Monday. Some Democrats were worried, should that time be spent somewhere else? But he went here. He went to Cleveland to turn out the vote right now. And again, we still have some more votes to come from Cuyahoga County. So if you're a Democrat, that's impressive. The question is, when the later votes come in, do you keep that margin? How much can you grow it? Can you maintain it? Because it's absolutely critical. By far, this is your #1 vote center in the state of Ohio. You want to run up the vote. Again, I keep watching the suburbs here are up to 61% of the vote. It's close. It's close. It's a moral victory, but it's also a little bit of the math, right? The Democrats want to expand in the suburbs. If you can pick up 1,000 votes anywhere in a place as tight as Ohio, you try to do it. So let's move out of Ohio. One place that's been red for a long time, people from home probably asking what's going on in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It has become more of a blue state, but look, the president has a healthy lead right now, 57%. That's not insignificant at all. However, I just want to make the point, this is where the votes are in Virginia. You come up here, Fairfax County, by far the largest county in the state, only about 15% of the vote in so far. So we're waiting on that. You come over here to Alexandria, also waiting for votes. So Virginia red at the moment, Wolf. A lot of places where Democratic votes are that we haven't received them yet. We'll keep an eye on it, though. It's an interesting night.
Yeah, Northern Virginia, very, very critical in the state of Virginia. We have two more projections right now. CNN now projects that Joe Biden will win the state of New Jersey, will win its 14 electoral votes. Biden beats Trump in New Jersey. We have a projection in Arkansas. President Trump beats Biden in Arkansas. He will win Arkansas 6 electoral votes. Trump wins in Arkansas. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map where things stand right now. Biden is still ahead. He has 73 electoral votes as of right now. Trump has 48. Remember, you need 270 needed to win the presidency. 73 to 48 right now. The electoral map is obviously the most important.
It is, and at the moment, it is filling in as expected in the sense that nothing that's happened so far on this map, these were all solid states. The red states you see for the president, whether it's Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, we had those solid Trump coming in, so no surprises here. Over here, where we're counting votes, potential surprises. You look at these states up here again, no surprises here. Massachusetts, Vermont, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, New York. Those were solid Biden states coming in. So 73 for Biden, 48 for the president. The question is, where do the big prizes go, right? So let's remember this map, right? It's as it was, which means it is as it was. We go back 4 years ago, this was the Trump map. So nothing has changed so far, but remember what we're seeing on the other map. Just for now, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. But if that changes, and that changes, right there gets Trump down to 273. So imagine that, right? So then, if you're looking around, Joe Biden, you have a chance in Arizona. We're not there yet. We got a long way to go before we get west, right? If you keep looking at this map, Joe Biden had a healthy lead at the end of the campaign in Michigan. He had a decent lead at the end of the campaign in Wisconsin. He thinks he can win Pennsylvania, although we'll see how that one goes. But it just tells you the menu. That gets Joe Biden to 322. We don't know if that's the way it's going to turn out, but it just tells you that he has more options anyway. And if you can add Ohio to that, then it's just a buffet. I mean, it's a buffet of possibility to run it up and to take away the president's map. So if you're the president and you're looking at this right now, you had 306, right? So you're trying to figure out, what am I going to lose, right? If you're in the president's campaign, what am I going to lose? Well, again, that was a double-digit lead, right? We don't know. We're going to count votes in Michigan. He's overcome deficits before. Not quite that big in 2016, though. It's a bigger deficit. But if you're in the president's campaign and you think you may lose those two, look where you are now. You're already at 280. And so at Joe Biden, if he can get Michigan and Wisconsin, and we're just starting up here, there are other options. He has so many menu options. But those two coming in look like they were there. This is why, if you're the Trump campaign, at this point, you're getting nervous, because that means you can't afford to lose that, right? And Joe Biden's leading there right now. And even if you hold that, there is just no way you can lose that. That would do it. And again, we're not done with Florida yet, although Trump's lead there seems pretty comfortable. We're not done with Georgia yet. Joe Biden is competitive in Arizona. Texas, we're still early in the night on. The idea is that the menu options are more plentiful for Joe Biden to get there. Doesn't mean he gets there, but if you're sitting in the Trump campaign right now, the state you're watching most nervously, well, I'll give you two. Number one is Ohio. Number two is North Carolina.
Well, let's look at that.
So let's come on
our
over.
Viewers, right now, let's start with Ohio.
Let's come on over. Ohio, right here in the middle. Again, Michigan is red right now. It's a very early vote. Doesn't mean it won't end up that way. It certainly did 4 years ago. That was one of the big Trump surprises. But up here, when you see Pennsylvania blue, Michigan red, we're very, very early. We'll come back to them when we have a significant amount of votes. If we're not spending time on them, that means we don't have any significant votes yet. So we're not ready to do that. We do have significant votes here. And again, it's cliche but true. No Republican has won the White House in modern times without Ohio. So that's why we're going to spend a lot of time on this. And if you look at this right now, again, 55%, 52 to 46. That's where you want to be. You want to be on top whenever, but we do have a ways to go. But if you watch this map play out, I just want to go back. Doesn't look a lot different, right? But just watch. Just watch where you see a little bit more blue when you come back in here. You see it up here in the suburbs. You see it up here along the lake. Again, suburbs outside of Toledo. This is where the Democrats are doing it. I haven't come over here at all tonight. Let me just take a look. Lucas County, look at this. It's only, and again, here's your opportunity, right? Is this early vote? Joe Biden, 73% to 26% at 39%. So watch when that number's higher later in the night. Are the margins still like that percentage-wise? Where does that math go? We go back 4 years ago. Yes, Hillary Clinton won here, 56-38. Let's just see where you are now, 73-26. That matters. That matters. Those margins matter in places where there are votes. And you come across, again, we did Cuyahoga County, earlier. This is Summit County here. You're dropping down south of Cleveland into Akron. This is a place where Donald Trump made inroads, 67% to 31 right now. You go back 4 years ago, 52-43. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. And if Joe Biden can hold that, again, that gives you your cushion. And this was the central argument of the Biden campaign. Scrappy kid from Scranton, middle-class Joe, pick however you want to describe it, that I can go into these places, not only win them, but outperform Hillary Clinton, make them like they used to be when Democrats were more competitive in the state of Ohio. Move it over here again. You come along the river and the valley here, 61% to 31. Again, we're only halfway there. So let's just see. This is a place where the president has votes. We'll see if they turn out this time. He had votes last time. We'll see if they turn out this time. If I had votes last time, I just want to show you 46%, right? This was very close last time. It's the 10th of the 88 counties in Ohio. It's the 10th largest. So this matters in terms of the votes. And it matters not only here. You go across the border, then you're in Pennsylvania. These two come together in these blue-collar communities. This was the fight of 2016. Ohio was comfortable, but Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, it's the same people who swung it. So let's pull back out and take a look at it. Let's come back to 2020 and look. Where else are you looking? You look down here. Hamilton County is Cincinnati. Again, Joe Biden running it up, 69, about halfway there again. So when you're halfway, you're looking at it and you're placing a marker. You say, that's where you want to be. That's actually outside where you want to be. Let's go back and look. 52% then, almost 70%, 69% now. That's a wow. If that stays there, that's a wow. But you're only halfway there. So you're thinking there's early vote here. The question is what happens to the election day turnout. This used to be a Republican area. This is, again, a changing community because of the suburbs. And as Joe Biden tries to win Ohio tonight, and that would be a statement right there, game over. There's also a House seat right down in that same area. So you're watching the Democratic vote. You're watching how things play out as well. You come up here to Franklin County. Again, this is the capital. Democratic area right in Columbus. Labor unions, African-American vote. This is Democrat will run it up here. But it's when you get out here and you get out into the suburbs, if you're running 75%, you come back in time, 60%. That's a huge difference. I mean, that's quite, some of this math is difficult, some of it's not. Look at that. You're at 60% then, 351,000 votes. You're at 74% now. We're only about halfway. So watch the vote total. If that percentage stays there as we go up, but again, we have election day votes to come in. So don't get ahead of yourself. But if you're looking at the building blocks and you're Joe Biden, you're looking at that and you're happy. But you also know 57% is not 90%. You want to get up there before you start feeling more comfortable about it. But that's huge. It's huge that we watch. And again, whether that changes or not, the fact that it is so competitive, the fact that Ohio is so competitive tells you Joe Biden's going to be stronger in Pennsylvania. He's going to be stronger in Michigan. He's likely to be stronger across the Midwest because there's so many places that are a lot alike in those states. There are some differences, but the similarities tell you if Joe Biden's doing that well here, especially in the eastern part of Ohio, that carries over into western Pennsylvania. If it does, it makes Biden a stronger candidate in a part of Pennsylvania. We don't have enough votes here yet, but Joe Biden needs to do well out here. He's got to win Allegheny County. The early votes there have president ahead. But if you go back to 2016, you see all this red out here, right? Let's just pick Westmoreland County here. Joe Biden does not need to win Westmoreland County, but you see the 64 right there. When this comes in, we don't have anything right now. If Joe Biden can make it 55-45, if he can make it 60-40, it's better. It's better. This is where we'll watch the debate come out. But the fact that Joe Biden is performing so well right now in these parts of Ohio bodes well for this part of Pennsylvania. But again, we'll count them as they come in. And just you pull out again, North Carolina is still blue. That Ohio and North Carolina, the later in the night we get, if Ohio and North Carolina stay blue, that is a warning shot straight into the Trump campaign headquarters. The president's at the White House tonight, up to 78% right now. It's come down some. It's 126,000 now. It was 160 earlier. It's starting to come down a little bit. That's the election day vote coming out. But you're up to 78%. You see it's 50-48. That's closer too. That's closer too. This is why we wait. This is why we count. The early vote had Biden ahead. It's closer, but we're still watching. I just want to see where we are. 82% Wake County. We have more vote to come. Again, does it get closer? 65-33, 58-38. You see the difference there? The question is, as we get the rest of it, can the president narrow this gap? He's not going to win Wake County. That's not the point. The point is, can he get closer? And those would be Republican votes out here in the suburbs. Same when you get up to Durham County. That's nuts, 82-17. Again, Secretary Clinton won this big too, 80-18. President needs to narrow that gap. That is the repudiation in the suburbs there. And you come back in. I just want to check down here in Mecklenburg County, #1. That's the largest. By #1, I mean most populous county. This is where the most votes are, Charlotte and the suburbs. 68% to 31% when you round it up. You come back again. Again, Joe Biden overperforming here. We have a ways to go in North Carolina. That's 2016. We come to 2020. We've got a little ways to go, Wolf, but it's getting interesting.
Very interesting indeed. We have two more projections right now. I take a look at this. CNN now projects that Joe Biden will win the state of Connecticut. He beats Trump in Connecticut. He wins Connecticut 7 electoral votes. Trump, on the other hand, wins South Dakota. He beats Biden in South Dakota, 3 electoral votes in South Dakota. Trump is the winner there. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map where it stands right now. Biden has 80 electoral college votes. Trump has 51. You need 270 to be elected president of the United States. Let's go back to John King. John, I'm really anxious to take a look at Georgia right now, see where things stand in Georgia. Update our viewers.
So we're looking at Georgia 2020 right here. A healthy lead for the president right now, 322,000 votes, 58-40. A little more than a third of the estimated vote in. Democrats thought this was a state where they could be competitive. There are 2 Senate races at play here. One could be settled tonight, one likely to go to a runoff. We'll see how those play out as well. But that's what makes this state even more important. You have a presidential race. The balance of power in the Senate could also hinge on those 2 races in Georgia. So where are we right now? If you look at that, 36% in, that's a pretty comfortable lead for the president. The question is, what is still to come in this night that's a little different than previous election nights because of the mail-in voting, early in-person voting, and election day voting, but we'll watch it play out. So let's look. One of the things we've been looking at throughout the night is the president outperforming. He is in some counties right there. This one tells you this one's important when you look at them. They're all important, obviously. You like every vote you can get, but right here in this DeKalb County outside of Atlanta, the president, now he's getting, you see, it's very early. So I say it's important. It's important if it stays that way. You see that vote count right there is pretty low. It's important if it stays that way. Is the president underperforming anywhere in Georgia? Well, early on, I suspect I'm going to find the same thing, but I'm going to look in these counties here. The question is how much of the vote is in. Not much. Fulton County is Atlanta. One of the reasons, so Donald Trump has a comfortable lead right now in Georgia. Well, we don't have many votes out of the single largest county in Georgia. So that's one of the reasons we're going to keep looking at this state. The Democrats believe it's much more competitive than these numbers tell you you are right now. So I say the president's underperforming there. Let's check in later in the night. There's not that many votes there right now. So we don't know enough. Let's see, is Biden outperforming Clinton anywhere? Again, it says he is up here. Very preliminary vote count, so I don't want to jump to any conclusions. We come down here and let's see. It's also really preliminary if you look at the vote counts. We have a long way to go in Georgia. You just go back and look at the count now. She won that county with 62,290 votes. And we're at 23 right now. We know turnout is up everywhere. So that tells me when you go through it, we're overperforming, underperforming. We'll check in on it later in the night. Right now, the vote counts are pretty small, so it's hard to know whether it's significant or not. But we got a long way to go. This is where most of the votes are right here. It's a big state. It's an important. I'm not saying the other places are unimportant, but this is where most of the votes in Georgia are, right up here in Atlanta and the suburbs. So you start in Fulton County, you pull it out. I'm going to get rid of the telestration so it doesn't distract anybody. This right here, 10% of the vote, we don't have much in yet. All right, then you move over here, Cobb County, about 30% of the vote in. That's good for Joe Biden. If you're winning by that margin out there in the suburbs, you come back there. It was much more competitive. Again, suburbs, one of the biggest stories in America right now, American politics as they shift. Move over back to Fulton. You come to the suburbs to the east. Gwinnett, 15%. Again, a long way to go. So you see this, a lot of this is early vote, tends to be disproportionate Democrat. So you look there, you switch back, 51%. If it holds up, that's significant. You're overperforming Clinton there. But we're very preliminary when it comes to Georgia. So we want to wait and see how that plays out. I just want to pull out the map again just to see what else has changed. Texas has gone red. Remember earlier we had Texas blue for a while, starting to fill in some counties here. 66%, 1,300 votes in a state like Texas. So it's very competitive. Everything, a lot of these states are more competitive this time. And again, that's part of the story. This was not a close state 4 years ago. Almost a 10-point race there, 807,000 votes. 4.6 million won it. Come back here just to look where we are, 3.8. We know turnout is up. So we have a ways to go in the state of Texas as we count through it. Just want to pull out and look at some more. Again, we don't expect Kansas to be blue at the end of the night, but there's a Senate race out there. Let's just watch. About 40% of the vote in. Where is it right now? It's coming mostly from here. You can see Riley County, Manhattan, Kansas. Fantastic military base out there. You come out here, you pull out. I want to check in here again because this is it right now. I mean, no offense to any other state. If Ohio stays, that would be the ball game. But we're still at 58% there. Just want to pull back out as we look. Just check down here to see if we've gotten any higher. We're up to 93% in Florida. By Florida standards, if this holds, a 3-point race, that's a big win by Florida standards, not in many states perhaps, but we'll see. We have a ways to go still in Florida as well. Just pulling out and looking. Again, these are the two that jump out at you right now. I know Pennsylvania blue, Michigan red. People are looking, their votes are early there. We don't know enough about them. Let's just look. There's some, I suspect this is very early vote out in Colorado. You see that coming in there. Joe Biden up comfortably. We expect that one to stay blue. So, Wolf, I'm a broken record. Well, you see it just had some votes pop up in Wisconsin, but very few. So you see President Trump, 2,300 vote lead early in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all places where we expect to get sort of distorted results. Some states only election votes, some counties only election day votes, then early votes. We'll figure it all out. These ones are going to take a while. But again, North Carolina blue, Ohio blue, this time of the night, that makes it interesting.
Michigan and Wisconsin, pretty early right now.
Yes.
We see they're red,
yes.
But what, 17% of the vote is in Michigan. Trump is ahead by 200,000 votes.
17% of the vote is in, and you have the President of the United States leading Wayne County right now. That's not going to happen. We don't know what
3% of the vote.
Right. We don't know what the margin's going to be in the end, but the President of the United States is not going to win Wayne County. No offense to the President of the United States, but that's just not going to happen. So that's how you just know this is one of those nights where, because of the different ways people voted, mail-in, in-person early, election day, there's going to be some distortions, if you will, some disruptions in the force. The main point is we'll look early on because they're all votes. We'll look at them early on. But the key is where are we a couple hours from now? And in some of these states, where are we tomorrow and the day after? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Is that by the end of the night tonight, we could have some people saying we should be done? No. Legally cast ballots can be counted, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's Wednesday, if necessary Thursday. You have good people doing this in every state across the country. So when anyone says we're done, listen to your Secretary of State, listen to your county election officials. They'll tell you when we're done. Coming back to this again, just because I'm fascinated by it, this is a statement right now, again, win or lose, Joe Biden is making Ohio competitive and making Republicans in Ohio nervous tonight and making people at the Trump campaign nervous tonight. I know you've spoken to him frequently during the COVID crisis. Governor DeWine was on our air earlier today saying he thought the president would squeak it out. There's still time. There's time. There's time to squeak it out. But that would be the ultimate statement right there. I just want to check in on Virginia again. Because if you're in the Trump campaign headquarters, which is in Northern Virginia, you're looking at this and you're thinking, can that be real? I suspect, this is a state, when I started doing this, it was a Republican state. Then it became a purple state. It's considered a blue state now. Again, we're waiting. This is the biggest dump of votes right here. And we've seen this in previous campaigns, including the presidential election in 2016, Senate races in Virginia, governor's races in Virginia. The Republican candidate gets ahead. And then in Northern Virginia and down here, the Democratic vote comes in late. But we'll watch. It's interesting to watch. North Carolina's interesting. Maybe Virginia's interesting as well. That's why we count them. We'll go through. We're up to 80% here, 79%. Again, we're waiting for more of that election day, right? This is why the president did all these rallies late, waiting for the election day surge. But if you're in the Trump campaign headquarters, let me come back out to the map. You're happy? The red's down here. North Carolina blue, Ohio blue at this hour. Makes you nervous, Wolf.
All right, there's much more ahead as more polling places close at the top of the hour. Two more important battleground states are on the line, Iowa and Nevada. Election night in America continues in 2 minutes. As we stand by for the next poll closings right at the top of the hour, here's an update on the race to 270 Electoral College votes. Right now, Biden has 80, Trump has 51. You need 270 to be elected president of the United States. Let's get a key race alert and see where things stand right now in these states. Let's start in North Carolina right now. Look at this, 79% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead by almost 100,000 votes, 50.5% to 48.4% in North Carolina. 15 electoral votes at stake. In Ohio right now, 59% of the estimated vote is in. Biden is ahead there by about 132,000 votes, 51.1% to 47.6%. 18 electoral votes at stake in Ohio right now. Let's take a look at Pennsylvania. Only 11% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a lead of about 200,000. Right now, 62.2% to 36.7% in Pennsylvania. 20 electoral votes at stake. 70% of the vote in Texas is in. Look at how close it is. Biden is ahead, but he's ahead by only 5,200 votes. 49.3% to 49.3%. Look at how close it is in Texas right now. Huge prize, 38 electoral votes in Texas. Let's take a look at some more states right now. In Pennsylvania, 11% of the vote is in. Biden is ahead once again by 200,000 votes in Pennsylvania. And Colorado, Biden is ahead. 32% of the vote is in Colorado. 235,000 vote lead in Colorado. In New Hampshire right now, only 17% of the vote is in. Biden is ahead by some 15,000 votes, 54.4% to 44.3% in New Hampshire. We have 5 more races we want to update you on right now. Let's start off in Florida right now. 93% of the vote is in. Trump has a pretty comfortable lead of more than 327,000 votes, 51% to Biden's 48% in Florida, 29 electoral votes at stake in Florida. Take a look at that. Let's move on to Michigan right now. 18% of the estimated vote is in. Trump is ahead by about 213,000 votes, 59.2% to 38.5% in Michigan. Still relatively early in Michigan. In Virginia, 41% of the vote is in. Trump has a lead, a very impressive lead of 332,000 votes right now in the state of Virginia, 57.7% to 40.4% in Virginia, 13 electoral votes at stake. In Georgia, more than a third of the vote is in, 39%. Trump is ahead by more than 300,000 votes in Georgia right now, 56.9% to Biden's 42%. In Wisconsin, only 3% of the vote is in. Very, very early in the state of Wisconsin. Trump is up by about 11,000 votes, 54.3% to 44.1%. Let's take a look at the balance of power, what's going on in the U.S. Congress. Dana Bash is looking very closely at the U.S. Senate.
That's right, Wolf. We have 8 projections to make in U.S. Senate races, starting with the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and that is the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell. CNN can project that he will go on for another term. Same with Arkansas's Tom Cotton, keeps that seat going on for another term there. And in South Dakota, CNN can project that Mike Rounds will go back to Washington for a second term. Tennessee, this is an open seat. Lamar Alexander is retiring. CNN can project that Bill Hagerty will win a first term there. In West Virginia, Shelley Moore Capito is going on for another term, according to CNN projections. And in Delaware, CNN is projecting that Chris Coons is going to go back to Washington. Representing that state, it was Joe Biden's old seat. New Hampshire, CNN is projecting Jeanne Shaheen is keeping her seat as well. And same goes for New Jersey. Cory Booker is going back to Washington representing New Jersey. Now let's look at some of the really important races we are watching right now. Colorado, right now, the Democratic challenger, John Hickenlooper, is ahead by a little more than 200,000 votes, 60.3%. The incumbent Republican Cory Gardner is at 38%, about 30% of the estimated vote in there. North Carolina, the Democratic challenger Cal Cunningham is ahead by just a little bit more than 57,000 votes at 48.5%. The incumbent Republican Tom Tillis at 47.3%. And in South Carolina, this is one that people across the country have been watching. Right now, the incumbent Republican Lindsey Graham is ahead pretty significantly. Now, let's look at what this all means in the big picture right now. Democrats are leading in 3 Republican seats. Democrats must pick up 4 Republican seats to flip the balance of power. And what is the balance of power right now? 39 Democrats, 36 Republicans, 25 seats remain to be called. Wolf?
All right, thanks very much, Dana. We'll get back to you. Let's have another projection right now. CNN projects that Joe Biden will win the state of Colorado, will win its 9 electoral votes. He beats Trump in Colorado. Trump, on the other hand, wins in North Dakota. CNN projects Trump will win in North Dakota, pick up its 3 electoral votes. Trump is the winner in North Dakota. Here's the Electoral College map where it stands right now as a result of these projections. Biden is up to 89 Electoral College votes. Trump has 54, 270 needed to win the presidency. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. We're looking at all these races. 89 right now, Electoral College. This is the most important. 89 for Biden, 54 for Trump.
Right, starting to get the building blocks, right? And again, a lot of unpredictability in counting votes on some of the other maps. A lot of states in play like Ohio and North Carolina that would be flips for Joe Biden. This map so far filling in a predictable way, but that's because we haven't called the battleground states, and we'll see where we go. But 89 to 54. 270 is the goal. You see the Joe Biden lead. This is why you look at the big states. The big states are what get you the lead. Joe Biden has New York, right? That's why Florida, Texas, California will be blue at the end of the night. So that's why battlegrounds like Florida, Texas this year, Ohio, that's why they're so important, because they're big chunks. You want to, that's the best way to get there is to build big. Pennsylvania, the biggest of the blue wall states. So if you're looking at this map right now, there are no surprises so far on this map. Again, if you come over here, I just want to pull out 1 second. Ask Brian to take a peek here. If you look at the 2020 map right now, we have Ohio blue right now. We have North Carolina blue right now. So let's come back over here and explain the significance of that, because we're at 89-54. You come back to the Trump map 4 years ago, right? Nothing has changed so far in the blue states. So far, Joe Biden is winning the Clinton states. The red states we've given to the president are states we expected him to win. But if you look at the map where we have it right now, and if that stays, right there, you get Donald Trump down to 273 and Joe Biden up to 265. So you're thinking, you have a scenario here where with just one more state, right? Just pick a state. There's 2 congressional districts here and here. That could get Joe Biden to 267. But you could get to 270 with just Michigan. All right? If Donald Trump somehow holds on to Michigan, you could get to 270 with just Wisconsin. If Donald Trump somehow held on to Wisconsin from 2016, you could get, if you're Joe Biden, to 270 by flipping Arizona as we move west later in the night. This is the dynamic of the night. Joe Biden has more options. The menu to him gives him more options, especially if Ohio is competitive and North Carolina is competitive, and he's leading in those states right now. That is the challenge. President Trump has a much more narrow path to re-election as he tries to defend this map. And the Ohio and North Carolina early results, we're not there yet. They're all the more significant because we do know heading into the final days. And again, 2016, the president was behind. He roared back. Election day turnout overwhelmed Hillary Clinton's lead in the polls. Joe Biden's lead in the polls was bigger this time. It was bigger in Michigan. It was bigger in Wisconsin. It was bigger in Pennsylvania. So there was a path for Joe Biden to win without Ohio, without North Carolina, without Georgia or Arizona. Joe Biden has more options on the map, which is why in the Trump campaign headquarters right now, you're looking at Florida, you're happy. We're not done yet. You're looking at Florida and you think, okay, we're doing pretty well, but you're looking at Ohio and you're looking at North Carolina, and I'll just move over here and do it. And that's what you're looking at, because you can't afford to lose. You don't want to give up anything from your 2016 map, but if you're going to give up anything from your 2016 map, you certainly don't want to give up 2 of your bigger prizes, which would be Ohio and North Carolina. Again, we're not there yet. And again, right now, Trump's leading in Virginia. So if there are trade-offs, if you give something up, if you lose in North Carolina, you get it back by taking Virginia. I just want to say to people watching at home, look at that. Look at that, right? Virginia is a state that has been trending blue, but, and here's the but, and this is the anomaly of tonight. We're getting different results at different times in these different states. So we have a lot of Democratic votes still to come in. Fairfax County is the biggest. I was looking at some of the other ones early. A lot of Democratic votes still to come in. We'll watch it. It's interesting, right? Maybe it's going to be closer than we thought. Maybe there's a Trump surprise there. We'll keep looking at it, but there's a lot of Democratic votes out still. So I suspect Virginia may change in a little bit. So we come down to North Carolina. Look at that lead, 85,000 now. What was the question earlier? We were 140 at one point. We're down to 113. Now we're down to 85,644. We told you early on the Biden big lead early was based on early votes. We know Democrats disproportionately voted early for COVID protection reasons. Democrats encouraged them to do so. And then Trump, all his rallies, what was the goal? Impressive, overwhelming election day turnout. That's what the president wanted. Is he getting it? We're up to 80%. We shall see. right? 50.3 to 48.5, a much closer race in a state that is a 50-50 battleground. North Carolina may be the most competitive state in American politics. Maybe Florida is a close second. But when you look at the demographics of North Carolina, it is perhaps the most competitive state in American politics right now. Cumberland County, 57%, 90%. You get to this point, 90% of the estimated vote. If you're a Democrat, you're thinking, how much more can I get out of this? If you're a Republican, you're thinking, can I just narrow the margins a little bit? 57.5, let's go back in time, 56.7, right? So you don't think that's a lot, right? 71,000 votes then, 16-point race. You come back here, 17-point race. Look at the turnout everywhere in America. And this is a good thing, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent. Look at that number right there. All right? In every county we're looking at, almost every county we're looking at, a higher vote total winning this time. That's a good thing. No matter who wins the election tonight, that's a good thing. More Americans came out and participated in the election. So we'll come there. Let's look at Wake County. That's Hillary Clinton then. That's Joe Biden now, from 58 to 65. That's a big deal. 355,000 votes, 302,000 votes, 53,000 more votes in the Democratic column there. Let's look at the president's numbers from 2016, 196. You come forward, 179. So higher turnout in this county. The president's not. He's got a ways to go, 80% there. We'll see if he can narrow the gap. And again, you're looking at these blue areas. You see the dots in the middle. These are your urban areas. This is all around America. Democrats run it up in the urban areas. The question then is, how do the Republicans do in the suburbs? They're getting shellacked. The president's getting shellacked there, as he did 4 years ago. He's getting beat here. Wolf, just one more. I just want to look quickly. Mecklenburg County, Charlotte in the suburbs. This is the most populous county in the state. 68 to 31 when you round up. 63 to 33. Again, doesn't seem like a lot. In a place that has the most votes in the state, that matters.
Yeah, 87% of the vote in that county out there. Let's check in with David Chalian, who's taking a very close look at North Carolina as well.
I am indeed. Well, first, I just want to show you this board here. These are the states that Joe Biden is leading in that Donald Trump won 4 years ago. So in North Carolina, as you were just discussing with John, he's got a 1.77 percentage point lead over Donald Trump. In Ohio, he's just under a 2 percentage point lead over Donald Trump. And in Wisconsin, he's got just over a 2 percentage point lead over Donald Trump. 3 states that Donald Trump won 4 years ago. Let's look at North Carolina and look at what's going on there. What you see the state of play right now, you see that Joe Biden has 2.385 million votes compared to Donald Trump's 2.301. He's ahead with 80% of the estimated vote in. But here's what we have to look out for. All those big Democratic counties John was just talking about, it is mostly early vote. So look, of this 80% of the vote that's in, 90% of it right now in North Carolina statewide is early vote. We think that's going to come down. We think that at the end of the night, 75% of the total North Carolina vote will be early vote. So right now, the early vote is helping Joe Biden. But as more election day vote comes in North Carolina, Donald Trump may be able to benefit from that. So we just got to keep watching as those votes come in North Carolina, Wolf.
All right, David, thank you very much. North Carolina, it's really important right now. Look at 80% of the vote is in. Biden's lead has gone down from 150,000 to now 84,000.
And David was just outlining the challenge for Joe Biden in North Carolina, in Ohio, in any of the battleground states, which is that the Democrats were happy with their early voting. In many of the states, if you looked at the data, disproportionately for the Democrats. So they got a couple laps in, if you will, on the Republicans. That's great. It's great to be leading the race, but you have to finish the race. And you finished the race today on Election Day. And that was the challenge for the Democrats. And that was the concern as they saw the president going around. How many rallies did he have in Pennsylvania? How many rallies did he have in North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan? The president retracing his 2016 map, trying to get voters out of the woodwork to vote today. And so as David makes the point here, you've gone from 120-something to 111, now to 84,000 votes ahead. You want to be in the lead. You'd rather be in the lead always, of course. But now we're going to keep counting these Election Day votes. And so in some of these places, you're in more rural counties. I keep coming back out to here, 95% in. If you're Joe Biden, you're happy because this is one of these Trump super counties. This is where he had a rally the other day. You hope that there's not many more votes to come here because you just see the margin, right? 30,000, just shy of 30,000 votes, the margin here. You come back 4 years ago, same idea. The president ran it up there by about 27,000. And you loosely run it up. This is one of the places, I call it Trump super counties, where they go there for a reason, because they know they have voters that they can turn out on Election Day, and that was the challenge. So now we're going to see. The Democrats don't have to beat Donald Trump today in the Election Day vote. They don't have to beat him, but they have to be competitive. They can't get, if they get shellacked today, you lose you lose what you gained with the early vote. And so we're going to keep watching as this comes in. And we have some places where we still have no votes, right? So you're watching those as well. It's just we're waiting for people to report. This was a big Trump county. Not a ton of votes, but if you're down, right now you're down 84,000 votes. 4 years ago in this county, look at the difference. There's 24,000 votes more than that, 26,000 votes. So you can get them in the places we're missing. When you come back in here, some of the places we're missing are places where the president did quite well in 2016. So that's the concern if you're in the Biden campaign headquarters. You like how this looks, but you know there's more to come. And so what every campaign does right now, they know what's missing. They know which counties, they know which precincts within those precincts. They know what their data tells them about who lives there and how they're doing.
Let's go to Ohio.
Durham County there, 86%. Again, just one quick point before we do it, before we leave. This is a place where they ran it up 4 years ago, so that's not quite as significant. I want to move over here. This is the thing. We'll come back here to Raleigh, to Wake County in the suburbs. Does the math change and does the margin change as that election day vote comes in? So we'll use that as a marker. Now you want to go back to Ohio. And you come back here, 64%. It's been sort of we got some good votes early on, but it's been a slog since. And look how close that is. 13,461 votes. They call them battleground states for a reason. 49.5 to 49.2 with 64% in. And again, you have the same dynamics at play, especially in some of these smaller rural places. It doesn't look like a lot. You don't think this is a lot, right? Because it's 8,000 votes in a giant state like Ohio. But you're halfway in. You're getting 8,700 to the other guy's 2,900. That matters, right? That margin matters when you do it here, and then you do it here, and then you do it here, and then you do it here. That's how it adds up. And so, again, you'd rather be leading than trailing, but you're watching those leads shrink as Election Day vote comes in, and you're trying to figure out, is it enough to hold, or do we have trouble?
Let's go back to David Chalian. David, take a look at Ohio right now. How much of the vote is very close? Only a 13,000 vote lead for Biden in Ohio right now. How much is the early vote as opposed to the today vote?
Yeah, you're noting Joe Biden's very, very close lead over Donald Trump. That's with 64% of the vote in. But let me show you that right now, of that vote that's in, 41% of it is early vote. That's helping Joe Biden. But unlike North Carolina, we expect the early vote share to grow here in Ohio. At the end of the night, we estimated it should be about 53% of the overall vote. So there's the potential as more early vote comes in, Joe Biden could potentially pad that lead. It's something to watch. Obviously, those rural counties can help Trump as well. Jake?
Thanks, David. We're looking at the race having tightened up quite a bit from what some pundits were projecting. And right now, it really does look like President Trump has narrowed or even broken even in Florida and North Carolina and Georgia. So really, it is all coming down to what we said months and months ago, the blue wall of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, the states that Hillary Clinton thought she had in the bag that Donald Trump tore down. Joe Biden trying to build it back up.
That's right. And, you know, look, those states that you just talked about, it is not over. We are still watching them. But the whole MO of the Biden campaign from the beginning was to rebuild that blue wall. And there's also another state that's going to come in later, which is Arizona. And that is still one that the Biden campaign is really hoping to finally flip from red to blue.
Yeah, and I think that we also are looking at a situation in which Biden is not maybe expanding the map as much as they might have hoped that they would. The states that they thought that he had a good chance, maybe because of turnout, maybe because of demographics, are tight, which is fine, but it's election day, and you have to actually win the state in order for it to matter. So, you know, we don't know what's going to happen yet, but this is a map that, as you just said, is probably just going to come down to what we always thought it would come down to, that blue wall up there, that Biden really, really at this point must hold on to in order to get to 2.
Although the Biden people, we should say, have not conceded any Florida or Georgia or North Carolina, and they feel very good. They still feel good about North Carolina. They still feel very positive about Arizona and the blue wall. But it's just not going to be, as some Democrats were hoping for, that they thought it was going to be an early landslide, which was really always a pipe dream.
Yeah, I mean, there is no landslide that we're looking at. No way, given the numbers that we've seen, particularly when you start the night in Florida, when it's as tight as Florida tends to be. And it's maybe even less so right now as they continue to count the votes. What is interesting is Florida, one of the reasons why the Biden campaign thinks that they are doing not as well as they'd hoped is because they're really underperforming with Latino voters.
Right.
They're hoping to change that dynamic in a big way when Arizona starts to count the votes, that they're hoping that that is what helps to buoy them in Arizona.
Yeah,
and we talked about this earlier. The Latino voters in Florida, a great deal of them are Cuban American and Venezuelan American in southern Florida. Very different from the Mexican American, Central American voters, Latino voters in Nevada and Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing the same thing from Democrats who are saying, wait and see, because in Arizona, we might see a completely different story. Even in a state like North Carolina, we might see a different story where a smaller population of Latino voters could be very important for Biden if he is able to turn them out. But that being said, what is happening in Florida, I can tell you, Democrats are not happy about it. Yeah. At the end of the day, the situation in Miami-Dade is something that in the autopsy of this election, they will be looking back at and trying to figure out what went wrong.
And I'll tell you what they think went wrong is that the Trump attacks have worked.
Yeah.
Calling the Democrats socialists work with people in that area in particular and that
and
a lot of
disinformation campaigns going on down there as well that we've covered on this air. Wolf?
All right, thanks very much, Jake. You know, John, let's take a look at Michigan and Virginia right now. What are we seeing?
Well, we're seeing red, number one. Michigan and Virginia. Virginia certainly we thought would be blue. It has increasingly become a blue state. Let's start at Michigan because Michigan, of course, was critical to the Trump win in 2016. You see a lot of red on the map right now. But again, 20% estimated reporting. We expect red up here. Let's give you a little 2016 flashback. A lot of red in this state, right? The question is, can Joe Biden flip it back? So let's come back to 2020. Remember the blue down here. That's from 2016. You don't have it down here right now. And again, so you look at Wayne County, that is Detroit and the suburbs around Detroit. Donald Trump leading right now is 3% of the vote. So this is a tiny amount of the vote here. You come up to Macomb County, 35% of the vote. If that holds, that's a big deal. But again, it's 35% of the vote. Macomb County 2020, legendary home of the Reagan Democrats, if you go back to the 80s, who were the blue-collar workers disaffected from the Democrats, supported Ronald Reagan. This is where the studies, Stan Greenberg, the Democratic pollster, did a lot of studies there. If you look at 2016, Hillary Clinton lost Macomb County by 10 points and change, 11 points there. And so this number here, if that holds up, that's a huge deal. That's Michigan, but this is very, very early. I just want to pull out again because I know people watching at home, we've told you there's going to be a lot of anomalies in the map tonight. There might also be surprises. That's why we continue to count them. This is one here, 56-41 in the Commonwealth of Virginia. You might expect Trump to pull ahead there at some point. That's a huge lead, about 45%. I just noticed earlier tonight, I just want to check one more time. Fairfax County, the largest county in the state, fast growing, hugely Democratic base, 27%. So there are votes to come in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But again, on a night where we expect maybe the unexpected in some places, we'll keep an eye on that.
Let's check in with David Chalian. Give us some context on these two states, what we're talking about. We're talking about Michigan and Virginia.
Still early in Michigan, obviously, but that Donald Trump lead, 657,000 votes to Joe Biden's 436,000. That is with 20% of the estimated vote in Michigan in. So we want to know, well, how much of this is early vote right now? And take a look here. Only 11% of the vote that's in Michigan is early vote right now. We know that Joe Biden voters are the ones that tended to vote early. We expect that to go up to 55%. We think a slim majority of voters in Michigan will have voted before Election Day by mail. Early voting. That could benefit Biden since he's doing better in the early vote in Michigan. He could overtake Donald Trump. Look at Virginia. John was just talking about some of those Democratic areas that are out in Virginia. Here's the current state of play. Donald Trump has a healthy lead there in Virginia with 45% of the vote in. What is the story of the early vote? Currently, of that vote that's in, 28% of it is early vote. And we know Joe Biden's doing better with early vote. We expect that to go up to 66%. So a huge swath of the early vote that is going to be a pro-Biden vote could help Joe Biden overtake Donald Trump's lead in Virginia. Specifically, we see almost no early vote in some of the really heavy Democratic counties of Fairfax and Alexandria. Wolf.
All right, thanks very much. We've got two more projections right now. All right, take a look at this. CNN now projects that Donald Trump will win the state of South Carolina. He's the winner in South Carolina, will win its 9 electoral votes. CNN also projects Donald Trump will win in Alabama, will win its 9 electoral votes in the state of Alabama as well. Here's where the Electoral College map stands right now. It's close. Biden now has 89 Electoral College votes. Trump has 72 Electoral College votes, 270, of course, needed to win the presidency. We're getting deeper into the night and another round of results. We're counting down to the top of the hour, 10 p.m. Eastern. That's when polls will close in Iowa, Montana, Nevada, and Utah. Together, those states have 21 electoral votes. Every vote is vital to get to the winning total of 270. Iowa and Nevada are the battlegrounds to watch in the next hour. Joe Biden looking to hold on to Nevada for the Democrats, while the president is hoping to hold on to Iowa after winning it handily 4 years ago. Let's get a key race alert right now. Let's start with Ohio, a critical battleground state right now. 64% of the estimated vote is in. Look at how close it is in Ohio right now. Only a 13,000 vote lead for Biden over Trump. In Ohio, 49.5% for Biden. Look at that, how close it is. In North Carolina, 82% of the vote is in. Biden does have almost a 65,000 vote lead over Trump, 50.1% over there. In Pennsylvania, only 16% of the vote is in. They're taking their time counting the votes in Pennsylvania. Biden has a 73,000 vote lead over Trump, 52.5%, as you can see. In Wisconsin right now, 19% of the vote is in. Biden's lead is narrow, only 22,000 vote lead, 50.7% to 47.4% in Wisconsin. In Minnesota right now, a quarter of the vote is in. Biden has an impressive nearly 300,000 vote lead in Minnesota, 66.1% he's got there. In New Hampshire right now, 22% of the vote is in. Biden's lead has increased a bit to nearly 20,000, 54.3% to 44.4%. Let's take a look at 3 more states right now. Actually 5 more states right now. Florida right now, 93% of the vote is in. Trump has a pretty comfortable lead, 379,000 vote lead over Biden in Florida. In Michigan right now, 20% of the vote is in. Trump has an impressive 224,000 vote lead over Biden right now in Michigan. Right there in Georgia, almost half of the vote is in. Trump has a pretty impressive lead there as well, nearly more than 364,000 vote lead over Biden in Georgia. 16 electoral votes there. In Texas, 76% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has a lead of 170,000 votes over Biden in the state of Texas, a huge prize, 38 electoral votes. In Virginia, 45% of the estimated vote is in. And look at this, Trump still has a pretty impressive lead of more than 311,000 votes in Virginia, 56.4% to 41.7%. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. So remind us, big picture, where we are right now in this race to 270.
Well, you're getting the building blocks, right? The building blocks are the solids, the states that you depend on. The Democrats depend on certain states. The Republicans depend on certain states. And the way this map is filling in right now, nothing here is a surprise. So both campaigns doing the building blocks to try to get you in a contention. To get to 270, you got to pass 100 first. We're getting close. 89 for Joe Biden, 72 for the President of the United States. And again, everything we see filled in, all these reds, we had them solid Trump coming in. All these blues, we had them Biden coming in. So we don't have any surprises right now as we look at the map. The question is, where are we going? And I'm going to ask you, Brian, again, just to swing around. We'll do a little choreography here. Texas red at the moment. We haven't called that one. Donald Trump has to hold it. Virginia red at the moment. That would be a shock. That would be a Clinton state that was taken away. But again, we're waiting for Democratic votes there. We're very early on. The map is going to be different tonight as we go through these different scenarios of mail-in votes, in-person early, Election Day, different states counting them in different order. So it's going to be different as we go through. But you just mentioned Joe Biden opening a lead in Minnesota and opening a lead in New Hampshire. Come back over here, and I'll show you why that's important. Hillary Clinton won both of those states, so people would say no big deal. The Trump campaign understands. It understands. We'll go back to his map. It understands if we come back to the 306, 232, this was 4 years ago. The Trump campaign fully understands that Joe Biden is more competitive here than Hillary Clinton, led in the polls. Joe Biden is more competitive here than Hillary Clinton, led in the polls. So even if you just take Wisconsin, right? Even if you just took Wisconsin away from the president here, if you take away this, right? So you're down, you're going away. And you take away this, right? So you're down some more here. Then you're worried about if that goes away, then you're underneath. So the Trump campaign, knowing that Joe Biden was more competitive in the blue wall states, was thinking, what can we get? So they were looking at states they just lost, right? They just lost. Minnesota was very close. Republicans make a run at it. I remember George W. Bush making a run at it. Republicans always make a run. They don't quite get there. But Trump thought he could get there. Trump thought he could pick this one up. I got to switch this here. Sorry about that. Trump thought he could pick this up, and then he thought maybe I can come here and get this, right? It's just, if you're going to subtract, you have to add. And so we're not done on those states. We're just counting the early votes. But you saw Mike Pence and the president both campaigning in those states in the final days of their campaign. When you know there's going to be subtraction, you look for addition. At the moment, we'll keep counting them. But at the moment, if those stay blue, that's a setback for Trump.
I want to go back to Dana Bash. She's got a significant projection in the balance of power in the U.S. Senate.
That's right, Wolf. In Colorado, CNN can project that John Hickenlooper, the former governor, the Democratic challenger, will be the next senator representing Colorado, defeating the incumbent Republican Cory Gardner. It's the first Democratic pickup of the night in the Senate. Democrats now must pick up 3 Republican seats. And right now, the balance of power is 40 Democrats, 36 Republicans, but 24 seats remain to be called tonight, Wolf.
Big pickup for the Democrats. Thanks very much, Dana. So, John, we're looking at the big picture right now. The popular vote, not that it's all that important, but it's still significant. Trump has a significant lead right now, but we're really focused on the Electoral College.
We are, but it is interesting to watch it play out. Again, we're early in this chapter, and so whether the states look a little funny or different, whether some of those states are in play to change, and as you watch that play out, let's remember, we're early, right? We're still here. We're counting votes as we go. Some people are still voting out on the West Coast and everything, but it's one of the givens, if you will, was that Donald Trump would lose the popular vote again. He lost to Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. At the moment, he's ahead. That's not a surprise. The red states have come in first, but let's watch that as it plays out. If Joe Biden passes him, then the question is, how does it stretch out? So that's one way to look at it. And some people out there I know, a lot of Democrats, having lived through Bush v. Gore and then Clinton versus Trump, you think we don't want the Electoral College. Well, we have it. That's the way we pick presidents right now. And so we'll watch that popular vote play out. But more importantly, we're going to watch these states. And again, as you noted, we were just talking about this a minute ago. We're early here, but Joe Biden pulling out to an early lead in Minnesota. It's one of those states. Each campaign looks at the last guy's map and says, what can I do to try to change it? The Trump campaign wanted Minnesota. They wanted New Hampshire. The Biden lead early on. We'll see if it changes. This one here, these are the fascinating. They're just, this is why we do this, Wolf. This is why it's exciting and fun. 13,000 votes now in Ohio, 64% for some time. So we're waiting. We're waiting for more votes to be counted. And again, we should all appreciate the challenge of these election officials all across the country. Democrats, Republicans, small county, big cities. It's a huge challenge. Turnout is up. You have the mix of voting, mail-in voting, in-person early. But right now, 49.5 to 49.2 in a state the president must win. Joe Biden does not need this. He leads right now by just shy of 14,000 votes, 13,461. He does not need this, but he would like it. Just want to check to see where we are in the percentages. David Chalian talked a little bit about this earlier. We have to watch which vote is which, but 55% still. You have a lot of votes to count here in a deep blue county, Cuyahoga County, Cleveland, and the surrounding areas. If you're a Democrat, you think we'll do okay there. 58% here, so more votes to be counted in Summit County. You're running well ahead. If you're in the Biden campaign quarters, you say, okay, we got a ways to go here. Just want to move over here. About half of the votes counted. I'm just following the blue to see what's left to come in. So if you're Joe Biden, the question is, do you hold these margins? Or when more election day vote comes in, this is a place the president ran pretty strong 4 years ago, does he get the election day turnout to bring it back? That is the dynamic of the night in state after state after state, and we're going to have to watch it. But Ohio is a great battleground state. It's been a while. It was not a battleground last time. The president won it quite comfortably. North Carolina, you look at the margin now, 29,000 votes. It was above 100,000. It was close to 125,000 not that long ago. It is down, but 84% right now, 49.7 to 49.1. Just want to go back 4 years ago. This was a 3-point race, if you round up there, 4 years ago. Just look how close this is. And again, we're missing some counties. We're missing completely. See how many votes are here 4 years ago. 13. There's about 1,000 vote difference there, a little more than that, a little less than that 4 years ago. So you're looking to see what's missing in these counties. And the main place, just come check in here, up to 92%. The question is, again, what's missing? Is it they're counting early votes? Then you think Joe Biden will get more than his fair share of those. If it's all election day votes, that's where the president's campaign team thinks he'll do his advantage. So this is what our people are doing, and it's what all the campaigns are doing, calling into the places where we're still missing votes and figuring out what's missing. Which votes are they? Let's come back up here to county number 2, Wake County, up to 83%. Again, if you're Joe Biden, normally, in a normal election, you see this. You have a huge margin, 83%. You think you're going to build, right? Because you've been running it up all night. You have more votes to come in. The challenge this year is the mail-in, in-person early. Election Day vote, they're different, right? We know Republicans were more likely to come out today. Democrats were more likely to vote early. So the normal rules don't always apply. You have to find out what's missing. What's missing. So let's pull it out a little bit more and come on the map and look at it, see if anything's changed while we've been here. I just want to check on the size of the president's lead here. 179,000 votes in Texas and some change. So we're going to wait in Texas as well. Just want to see how we're doing down here in Harris County. This is the largest county in the state, 82% of the vote in. So we'll continue to watch that. Joe Biden making it closer. The question is, can he find a way to the finish line? And we'll just pull out and look at the map. We're starting to fill it in, 50% to 48% in the popular vote. That's not how we pick a president, though, Wolf, and we'll keep counting.